Good night, Barbados. Good night. Good night. It is May 1st, Wednesday, May 1st, and it's 7 p.m. We are alive and well in the land of the living. It's May Day in Barbados. And I hope you had a wonderful day. I hope you had a restful day. I hope you had a peaceful day. And right off the blocks, we're going to ask you to share. We have an amazing show lined up for you tonight. Of course, you know, Kazza Franklin will be on. Kemar Stewart is going to be on tonight as well. And Apostle Leroy Scanterbury will be on tonight. Yes, and we have Mr. Glenn Murray. And you know, Glenn Murray, when he comes on, there's some history, something we are learning. So tonight is going to be amazing, and everything is tied back to the cybercrime bill. Cybercrime bill, and this is May 1st, and on May the 6th, when that is the day actually that they will start the actual hearing, the actual presentations on the cybercrime bill. They're going to hear from the public how the public feels about sections of that bill. Okay, so we're going to ask everybody to make sure that those of you who want to make a presentation, I believe they didn't have a deadline on if you wanted to make a presentation, but you can contact the parliament, and we've been given out the email address for that. And I'm sure within the course of the night, we'll put the email address up again for those of you who want um, to make a presentation. But I would say those of you who know how to pray, pray as well. Those that you know how to fast, fast as well. We're not pushing any particular religion. We are here and we're Barbadians and we believe different things. Some people on here are atheists. Well, that's fine. You know, that's your choice. You're an atheist, and we welcome everybody. You know, the faith that I'm part of welcomes everybody. It's love all over, whatever you identify as or with. We're people of love. And so those of you who want to put in an extra prayer around the cybercrime bill, please do so. We know that when it's not by might or just by might or power, but we know that sometimes these things are also spiritual as well, especially things that have to do with oppression. And while we know that while the church played a significant role in the establishment and in the promotion of slavery and the foundation of slavery, we also know, let's be truthful as well, that the church played a significant role in the abolishing of slavery as well, with Lord Wilberforce and the Baptist Church and Paul Bogle in Jamaica, Sarah Ann Gill, and all these different people. Although I'm not sure about Sarah Ann Gill, I'm sorry. I think I made a mistake there, but I know Jamaica's history of Paul Bogle and the others. So what am I saying, everybody? Whatever your faith is, let's put in some prayer and let's put in some fasting and let's take it up a notch, and fight spiritually as well. We also have our march that is coming up. The march is going to be on this weekend at 10 o'clock, right there, our regular spot, right there at Massacre Park, and we end up at Independence Square. All right, so we need everybody on deck, everybody coming out. When I checked, we needed another $1,600 because so far we're able to pay for the truck and have a little bit left over. Okay, so but we still have to pay the police, and we have to, not the truck. I said the truck, the sound. Okay, the sound that's been promised to me. I haven't seen it yet, but I know my people, they're gonna bring it. So we had some funds left over from last time, and so we have the sound, and we have our truck. We have to pay for the the sound, the truck, and the police, because we still have to pay to get that permit. Yes. So until the laws are changed, that's what it is. It's not that I'm happy about it, because when I check the other Caribbean islands, we are, as far as I know, the only ones that have to pay anything. So what's up with that, Barbados? You know. So but we will have to pay. So let me just, I went ahead and start chatting. Where's my manners? Let me welcome Cecilia Miller. Hi Cecilia, how are you doing? And she says, good evening. Hope all had a good day. We're calling a different Mayday. Mayday, Mayday, ship in distress. You're right. Cecilia, can you like, please make sure you like. Right there on the left hand side, you'll see a little thumbs up. Just click that button. Those of you who are might be a little older, ask your grandchildren, ask your children for that like button. We need everybody to like. A lot of times the likes are too, they're too small in comparison to the numbers that are on watching live. So everybody, there are 338 of you on. Everybody right now, pause. This is a good time to pause and like the show. Angel Humble, like the show. Sandra Benjamin, good evening. Sandra, have you liked the show yet? Judy Rock, good evening. Have you liked the show? Erwin Nurse, Owen Hines, like, and subscribe. When you subscribe, as soon as we're on, you're going to know. And so you see a little bell there. You click that bell and you will be notified anytime we're on. Paul Gibson, good evening, sir. How are you doing? Nat Grant, good evening. Nat, did you like the show? Hit that thumbs up. Like the show. Born again. How are you? Ramin. Good night, Ramin. Good night. Oh, yes. Please like and share this link widely. Education is key if change is to be successfully made. Our children's future are at stake. Operation Rescue and Restore BIM must prevail. Galbiz. Hey, Galbiz. Good to have seen you at the hike. Oh, my goodness. Galbiz is a big hiker, you know. Heathcliff. Hi, Heathcliff. Bajan. Hi, Bajan boy. Good night. Good night. We're happy you're in the house. Diana Husbands. Good night. Sky Brown. Good night. Peter King. Oh, Peter King. Peter King. Good afternoon. Good evening. Yuseline King. Queen Royal. I'm Marcia, my namesake. Good evening. Marcia, did you like yet? Please like the show and share. Like and share. Share it. Share it on your Facebook. Share it in WhatsApp. Share it wherever you can share it. Share it. Like and share. And subscribe. This is when you do that. Anne Welch. Sanchez. Good night. Sanchez, did you like? Did you share with your friends? Did you share in WhatsApp groups? Have you done that yet? Very important, guys. Ann Welch, Patrick Green, Jefferson Sobers, Emerson Bob, June Wealth, Emerson Bob, Ann Welch. I said that already. James Harding. Yes. Houston Fields. Oh my goodness. Everybody, good night. Good night. Marvin Allen, good night. Sir Alfred Benjamin. Oh, thank you, Sir Alfred Benjamin. And you are locked on, I believe it's every night. Every night, I believe I see you on here. Oh my goodness. I tell you, the education is real. It is real. It is real. AP, good evening. Good evening. Wayne McD Austin, how are you? How are you? How are you, Noel? Good evening. Rachel Thornhill, good evening. Pedro Gemma, how are you doing, Pedro? Good evening. Business and finance, I haven't seen you in a little bit. Beverly Prescott, good evening. Tyrone Nurse, good evening. Oh, my Lord. Lemuel Tall, good evening. Did you like? Lemuel, did you like the show? I want asking you to kindly to like, and I'm asking you kindly to share. Just take a moment, share in your WhatsApp group, share on your Facebook page, share on Instagram, share wherever it will allow you to share. Okay? We need everybody on deck, all hands on deck, everybody involved. You know, Cheryl, good night. I see people and they said, oh, Marcy, I see what you all are doing. Keep up the good work. You're all doing a good job. No, no, it's we. We are doing a good job. It is when we get involved that it's going to happen. It takes all of us, right? And not just joining. Joining is good, but sharing, liking, and sharing is part of what we do to keep this momentum going and making sure we come out to the marches. Come out to the marches. It's very, very important. Yes. Anderson Thompson. Anderson Thompson said, from my observation, there are as much viewers on this show living overseas as local. What we can do is ask them to get their relatives and friends who live here to come to the marches and to watch the show. So even the diaspora, thank you, Anderson, even the diaspora is being given a little task. Your task is to send the show link to your family and friends in Barbados and encourage them to come out to the marches. Yes? Yes, yes. Annie's saying she's from Texas. Leanna Bell. Oh, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I can't call everybody, but you know, Erskine Watson, Sam Clark. Let me get in a few more, my people, man. Marcy. Oh my Lord. Victor Lewis. Yes, Sarah Ann Gillis from the Methodist Church. Wonderful. Sonia Alton. Lucinda Aline. My goodness, Jacqueline Aline. Oh, Gaymel Jenkins. Oh, my people, my Edwin Price. Edwin, a man named Edwin. Edwin, are you coming out to the march on Saturday? Very important. We need everybody out. Julianne Clark. Yes. Like, she said she liked and shared first thing. Everybody pause, like, and share right now. Like and share. Like and share. Important. We have lots of business to do and lots of education. Sandra Watson and Michael Watson, Sandra Watkins. Okay, got tongue tied there, and Hasbra. All right. So now, guys, it is time. It is time for our theme song. You know, this is the banner that we march under. We march under a banner of patriotism and love for our country, and vowing that we're going to do whatever we can to raise this nation up and to rebuild. There's a lot of rebuilding that needs to happen in this country, and we are making sure that that is done. Yes? So, time for the national anthem. Yes, guys, and greater we shall grow in strength, and unity, in strength and unity. I want to ask us tonight. I know we push the marches a lot on the show, and we educate and we motivate and we agitate. We do all of those things. We mobilize people. You know, there are times when we pick up donations for people in our society, people who have been hurt, and people are going through many things. There are lots of things we don't come to you with. Mr. Franklin, myself, and others. There are lots of complaints that we get, lots of issues with people. We do things to help people. We help. And I call on a lot of those in the opposition, and they respond. Barbadians respond to Barbadians. I've seen that happen. And we don't come on the show. We don't say it on the show. And we do a lot of practical things. But I want to say to you that those of you who know how to pray, I'm calling on you to pray for Barbados. You know how to pray, pray for this country. Some people don't want us to mention religion on here, but I see Lumumba and Bongo, and they, you know, before they start their video, they're always, they push their belief. And we don't do that a lot on the show. But I want to say to you, if you know how to pray, I'm not trying to tell you what, how to pray or what to do, what you do. I'm not, that's not, I know there is a spiritual part to what must be done. It's not just the marches. It's not just the practical taking care of each other. It's not just a fight in the law courts. It's not just the presentations in parliament. But it's prayer as well. It's prayer. And those of our four parents, they did a lot of that. Yeah. They did a lot of praying. Our four parents did a lot of praying. I'm going to share with you a little later in the program on the 1937 riots, and you will see the kind of suffering that our ancestors went through right here in Barbados, so that we can. We're going through a lot now, but when you hear what they went through, when you look at the fact that you could, some people could eat a meal today. Some people could drive in a nice car today. Some people I know there's some people live in nice big houses and no groceries. I know that too. Big cars and no gas in the car. Yes, we are going through a lot of things. But when you hear what our ancestors went through and how they overcame, and I know Mr. Murray is there, and I told him 7:15, but I just want to read for you the lyrics of the song that says, "We shall overcome." Are you sharing, guys? Tonight is an important night, a very important night. The 1st of May, May Day in Barbados, 2024. I want you to share. Share like you've never shared this link before. These are the lyrics of "We Shall Overcome," and this song was sent to us by someone in the loyal opposition who watches almost every night, I think. And they sent the lyrics of this song to us. And I just want to read the lyrics, because what I found is that we sing the first verse, but I didn't realize, Mr. Murray, that there were so many other verses to it. It says, "We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday." And as I'm reading it, I want you to hear your ancestors singing it. I want you to see them. I want you to have that visual in your mind whether they are working in the fields, they're sitting under a tree, they're sitting by the riverside, and this is going over in their heads. This is repeating in their head. We are not afraid. Did you know that that was a verse? And Mr. Murray probably know, but I didn't know. We are not afraid. We are not afraid today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday, Barbados. We are not alone. We are not alone. That's the third verse. We are not alone today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we are not alone today. The next one verse says, the truth will make us free. My goodness, I didn't know that this was a verse. The truth shall make us free. The truth shall make us free someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. Think of your ancestors, people. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand, Barbados. We'll walk hand in hand someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. Look at this verse. The Lord will see us through. The Lord will see us through, Barbados. The Lord will see us through someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. The next verse, black and white together. Black and white together. Black and white together someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. We shall all be free. We shall all be free. We shall all be free someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. Oh my goodness, that is so touching. I am telling you, I had planned to read it. I only read the first three verses and I didn't read the others. So all of that emotion is just live. And because this kind of work, we have to have faith. We first have to believe that we are loved, that we are worth fighting for. Do you believe you're worth fighting for? Do you believe you're worth fighting for? Do you believe that you're enough and that you're special enough? That it does matter that you log on each night. Are you aware of that? Do you believe that being Barbadian is enough and it is powerful enough for you to fight for? Are you is it okay for you to stand up for the people of Israel and not stand up for Barbados? I hear Christians crying out and praying for Israel. Do you do the same thing for Barbados? Do you cry out for Barbados as you cried out for the Ukraine? And you prayed and you were so concerned for the Ukraine. Do you do that for Barbados? Some people, they pray a lot for the US and they're sad about the US and other countries of the world. Do you do that for your country, Barbados? Or do you see yourself special enough? As our founding father, our father of independence says, what kind of mirror image do we have of ourselves? Do we think that we are enough to fight for? Do you think that we have enough ideals to fight for? Do you think we have enough heritage? Do you believe in the heritage? Do you believe that we have enough to stand up for? Do you love your children enough? Do you love your children that you do in the future, your great-grandchildren? Are you proud to be Barbadian? What does that mean to you? I'm just so overcome, I guess, because I was reading the 1937 riots as well. Let me bring in Mr. Murray in here. I start crying.
Good night. Good night, Marcia.
Good night, sir. How are you?
I'm good, and thanks for having me once more.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
Without consulting before or discussing, your intro, your reading of that song, provide a perfect backdrop for what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about tonight, because it encapsulates, brings together in one pointed way how what I've seen being done in downgrading, watering down, dumbing down, trivializing the work and achievements and the sacrifices of, like you said, our nation builders, our predecessors, those who paved the way for us today. And you asked a very personal question as to whether we see there is enough in Barbados to work fighting for. Those persons who had less, who saw, enjoyed, and experienced less material benefits that we have, political benefits, educational benefit, health benefit. They thought that Barbados was worth fighting for, and that is why they played the role they did, and making the sacrifices they did before before envisioning that they themselves would have been around to benefit from the hard work they put in. And in that context, then I want to express my great disappointment at the way National Heroes Day 2024 has been well celebrated. National Heroes Day started in 1998. But before we get to national heroes, because heroes are products of our assertion of self, our self confidence, or defining who we are, and looking for persons who exemplify and portray the best of us as heroes. But like I said, it comes from that comes from a cultural perspective and a historical perspective. But before we get a culture, before we get that, I lived through a time when Barbados had no culture. I was told, the masses were told that we had no culture. The colonialists and those on their offspring, given that the European culture dominated Barbados, there was the standard by which culture was judged, but we were supposed to have had no culture. Our African inputs and heritage were bastardized, discarded, attempted to eradicate. So the general impression was that the masses, the popular people, the popular culture was no culture, which is a nonsense because um, any group of people, even animals, no matter how small, once there's a grouping, they develop their culture, which is basically a way of living, a way of coexisting, a way of getting things done to ensure the survival of the group, etc. So we had a culture, but we were taught that it did not exist. So having been told, brought up in an environment where there was supposed to be quote unquote no culture, we did not have heroes until, from my recollection, people of my generation, our heroes, our first set of heroes were cowboys when you went to the movies and saw the cowboys, cowboys and crooks as we call them, and the movies, particularly on weekends, bank holidays. Those were our heroes because we saw them live action. I'm not sure how familiar with real movies of that era because you are, even though you are a movie person, a producer, etc., yourself, a maker. But we had names like Lash LaRue, Tom Mix, um, Fuzzy Knight, uh, Rocky Lane. These were our heroes because these are people we saw. And we argued about whose horses was fast, who draw the six gun fastest, who could cut the hardest in the fights, etc. So those are the people that we thought were heroes in our time because we had nothing against which else to draw them against until the West Indies started winning in cricket, especially in 1960-61 in Australia, and then they became our heroes. Sorbers and Hall and Canada, etc. As a matter of fact, in that 60-61 tour where we won in Australia with the historic Tide Test, I remember they came back to Barbados as as heroes. They had a motorcade. And I remember my group from Commonwealth went downtown to see them. And what I got them to do, these were not days of t-shirts. These were days, all we had was our uniforms. And I wrote West Hall on the pocket of my khaki shirt. And then others wrote, then their heroes, those were our way of identifying ourselves with their achievements and whatnot. And then this went on, and then so that was a landmark because we started recognizing these were some popular heroes in our eyesight because of because of the achievements, how they perform at the highest level internationally, etc. And this went on until many years, and then in 1979, Tom Adams decided that Barbados should participate in Carrie Festa in Cuba in '79, and Barbados performed stellarly. Our culture was on shore piece to the Caribbean, the way the possible Caribbean, and we did well. And then Carrie Festa came to Barbados in 1981, and then in 1984, Tom Adams set up the National Cultural Foundation. So these are the pillars of the culture. And then by 1998, and then '85, we had Buster, the statue of Buster, which was commissioned by Tom Adams, but he did not live to see. He died in March '85, and that was commissioned later in '95. So that was the substrat, the foundation for our celebrating heroes. And then 1998, Orinasa Institute, National Heroes Day on the 20th of April, the birthday of Sir Grant Adams, who who were dubbed the father of democracy because of his fight to achieve the right to vote for Barbadians before any qualification of property or income or whatever. So in 1998, we had, and the Minister of Culture, who played a major role at that time, was our present Prime Minister, Amir Motley. And we had this fantastic ceremony outside the government headquarters where the 10 then named heroes were named, the statue of Grant Adams unveiled, and it was quite a memorable occasion. And then for 2 or 3 years thereafter, we would have National Heroes Day. But from very early, because I was telling the Prime Minister's office then, at least I felt that something was missing, that we need to give, that we were not giving enough structure, that it was being passed on. It was just becoming just another bank holiday, even that early. And I said that, and I thought I had the experiences so because I had been commissioned by Prime Minister after to develop a program to celebrate independence in 1995. It will be 30 years next year, community independence celebration. Hey, guys, these are our heroes. And I remember that for that first occasion outside government headquarters, these portraits in material were draped all around the face of government headquarters, a magnificent sight. And then they used to go along Bridgetown around the Treasury building in those early days. In all fairness, I think the copyright on those only lasted for a specific period of time, and we were not allowed to drape them around anymore. So Barbados was portrayed, was developed for national heroes there. So I'm therefore saying that it saddens me that I was at 26 years. This year would mark the 26th year of national heroes, and we had the 10 national heroes. We had 10 songs named. Each hero had a song sung to him. There was literature prepared. The songs were recorded and put on a CD. But living in Barbados today, in the last few years, particularly this year, you would not believe that there was that material which you can use to promote a sense of appreciation and celebration of the work and achievements of our national heroes, except going through. I mean, the Prime Minister did not give a National Heroes Day message. I've seen her do it recently, even for something else. For Ramadan, I remember a message came out for Ramadan or Eid, one of those, if they unless they're the same. But I remember that. But here we have National Heroes Day, no mention. Of course, we saw things in the paper, but there was no coordinated, cohesive effort done through the National Cultural Foundation, particularly, which is the operating arm of the government's cultural program to celebrate heroes in any meaningful way. It just became another holiday, and having been the Barbados Labour Party, having been the party in power as the government, which initiated National Heroes Day, this year, I was sad to say that all became a picnic on the East Coast Road, right? A picnic on the East Coast Road, which has been going on for a while. But this year there was no, or even when the Prime Minister spoke, she referenced the sacrifice of the national heroes, the the excellence of their pursuits and their accomplishments, etc. But there was nothing uplifting, inspiring. There was nothing taken out of that. We shall overcome. We did overcome through those words, but there was nothing that would take us to the next level of experience and appreciation and celebration of that. Instead of the prime minister giving that kind of uplifting, that would be reminiscent of the speech by Owen Arthur that in 1998. We have a lot of cliches. What you reap, what you when you reap, you sow. You have to reap to when you plant. You have to plant to reap. At the end of the tunnel, light at the end of the tunnel. A whole set of cliches um, that really did not fit the occasion. When you were looking for celebration of inspiring messages that you can walk away with, there was nothing like that. There was nothing like that to offer. Instead, the prime minister, Mr. Prime Minister became the medium, became the message. The platform on the East Coast over National Heroes Day did not reflect the sustenance of the occasion, the impressiveness of the occasion, the importance, the majestic nature of the whole achievement. Well, instead, the prime minister, um, she was greeted with uh, tremendous screaming and carry on by the crowd. So she was the message. Because her message, her words did not convey a message. She became the message, and there was no music. Like I said, of the songs put created specifically for occasion, I did not hear anyone played from what I saw on YouTube. Talking about Granny Adams, himself on his birthday, the others not. There was just other music, and particularly celebrated in reggae music. And the prime minister um, asked, asked asked for a song, which a woman like me, what's it called? I think it's called a woman like me. I think I have that name here down. Woman like you. Very much in the vein I thought of of Tarrus Riley's She's Royal. Even that song, if she like talk about, refer to the woman like you as a queen. So I saw glimpses again of that presentation I gave a few weeks ago about the 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 um the creation of a cult of personality. I saw even more evidence of it yesterday at East Coast Road, because there was nothing which represented government's achievements, and that nothing represented how government is going to further develop and enhance and give substance to this program. There was just a celebration of the BLP family, of its solidarity, of the prime minister, but not of the national heroes. I think it was a disservice to Barbados and Barbados. I thought the prime minister could have done much more, and given a speech that was memorable and raised to the demands of the occasion, right? Instead, she talked about her theme, or her going away message seemed to have been what she called see people, hear people, feel people. That's not a those are phrases. That's not a philosophy. That did not really represent what national heroes and should mean in our context, particularly at the time when the society is going through stresses and strains and all kind of issues that are coming to the surface, or a custom life has been erupted severely for all kind of reasons. Crime, there's drastic change in the cultural makeup of Barbados and the behavior, and there was nothing that drew those heroes as a serious point of reference that we could, by listening to the Prime Minister, get a picture of what could be done, what should be done, what he would advise, the guiding like that she would be to make us benefit from the input, the achievements of those personalities. But like I said, it was very, very it was very disappointing, because there was no focus to the celebration, neither at East Coast Road or otherwise. I think that we did ourselves a disservice. Like I said, we can do much better than that. We have a whole national cultural foundation. If you could not come up with a program building on the programs, of other ceremonies of the past, where is all the creativity? Where are all the creatives? Where are all the artists that they could not have so constructed, even at 26? And looking back over the last 24 years, 24 years, how we celebrate where they've come from. I think they needed to be depicted in lasting, uplifting visuals, in music, that can be done to sustain the interest. Because if this goes on, apart from national heroes, there was nothing that connected in a serious way to children. So you have to start planting, like how I remember there were no heroes in my day. You can fill that void in young children's minds by providing material on our 11 heroes and build on them to let inspire them. Put I have ideas for it, Camille. I will not say too much more now. I'll talk about it another time. But I'm saying that we needed much better than what was done yesterday. Yesterday was a letdown. Like I said, it was an embarrassment, and we could do much better. And I'd like to see the government, if they could do that for the 26th anniversary of National Heroes Day. I shudder to think what we're going to see for the 50th anniversary of the revival of October. So far, I have not seen anything in the Natural Cultural Foundation's program of activities as I've seen and heard and read them and followed them as to how this 50 years is going to be depicted. I haven't seen any no events, nothing. All I'm what seems to be that we're going to be in for another bout of enough nudity, enough not near nudity, enough body showing, enough whacking up, and nothing. Like Dean Harold Critchlow said at one time, basically appealing to culture below the waist. And we have been much better than that. We have done much better than that. We have a repository, a storehouse of many cultures that we can draw on, that we need to dip into and portray, recreate, reposition, refashion, and give continuity to ourselves. Otherwise, we will always be subject to the dominance of other people's culture, because we are not offering anything in return to let the public hold on to. So that was bad enough. But then I experienced to severe disappointment on the celebration of May Day 2024. Again, May Day has there was a time when what is so interesting is that because May Day and National Heroes Day are so close in proximity, the Barbies Works Union does not seem to it's not dawned on them that 3 of our national heroes came out of the Barbies Workers Union. Grant Lee Adams, who was the founding father, was the first president and the founder president. Sir Hugh Springer, who was the first general secretary, and then the Right Excellence Sir Frank Walker. They are national heroes. And for what I've seen and heard, I saw a bit of it on the news tonight. There's no connection with that, with the union. Again, that has been watered down. There was a time when it became largely entertainment of one call another to draw people to their celebrations. There's a time when Frank Walker, when his name was the heavy roller, when it was made there, a speech from him was looked forward to by the public, by the workers. As a matter of fact, some employees would shudder because he was a very forthright man. Like he said, he said, I'm frank in name, I'm frank in nature. And he would call it as he see it. So there was a momentous occasion. But what we are seeing now over the years has been, particularly since it has been accentuated since the General Secretary Tony Moore became a member of the an elected member of the Barbados Labour Party. What I'm saying is I watched the news tonight, and I see again that the NCF logo, branded logo on its podium was at the Botanical Gardens today. as part of the union celebration. I know there's were partners last year, like they seem to be partners again this year. And I'm wondering, I know that the union has, because there's been so much today, the union basically, when I look at the program, what I recall the program, the biggest section of the program was the inauguration of a new orchestra and dance by the NCF. I think it was Landship, etc. But it seems to me as though the BW was a guest appearance on the NCS program and platform rather than the other way around. And I'm wondering if, I know the union has lost lots of membership. That is widely acknowledged. I have documents I've written in a report presented to the union a few years ago by an expert who looked at the union. But they've lost membership, they've lost standing, especially after COVID. I'm wondering if is it that the union is not able to finance these activities, and whether they have to piggyback on the NCS stage. In other words, is the union being subsidized out of the pockets of the taxpayers through the NCA? What more did they provide besides the stage and the podium, etc.? What more can other unions themselves expect to be treated the same way through the NCS, through government, through the taxpayers' money when they have their events? It just seems to me that the BW on this day, which is this day, remember, the 1st of May, and there's an interesting story about that you might be interested in. But when Tom Adams was Prime Minister, he suggested that the first Monday in May become May Day, rather than wherever May Day occurs during the week. He thought it was everybody would have a long weekend then, whenever it's May the 1st. There could be more planned activities. People could come in and see serious activities. And he thought it was more, rather than interrupting the week at various points of the week to have May Day, there could be a structured, organized day, the first Monday in every May. And you would have thought that he was threatening to abolish trade unionism. There was outcry about it, and he dropped the idea. They said that May Day, the first of May, was their day. It was sacred to them. So if you can attach so much to that kind of activity, I think other seriousness should have been done. The other parts of your program, and May Day, generally speaking, has become another social event, and they've lost their punch at this time. And there's the celebration of workers and trade unionism, which was supposed to be done on that day, does not come true, has not come true, and certainly in this year did not come true to be.
Wow. Mr. Murray, another, I must tell you, I was in rapt attention to you tonight, and very, very well presented, sir. And I learned so much from this presentation. I want to thank you so much. And before Mr. Franklin, I know he would love to jump into this conversation here. I wanted to just remind our listeners. I'm hearing an echo coming through. I don't know if it's mine. Let me turn out Mr. Murray's mic and see if that will help. Yes, that helped. I want to remind persons, I've been reading from the 1937, this book, The 1937 Disturbances of Barbados. And I read for you the other night some of the measures that were initiated the following year after the report of the Dean Commission that was done on the 1937 riots. And the first thing here is the establishment of the Labor Department. And there's a reason I'm reading it again. I'm listing them again because I believe that these who died, these heroes who died through the 1937 riots, they would be turning in their graves, plus our ancestors who were wounded and who were hurt and who fought in this 1937 riots. They would be turning in their grave to know what we have done with the legacy of trade unionism. Listen, the employment of a labor office. Most of what these people were fighting for, people had to do with labor. Okay, the employment of a labor officer, establishment of the labor department, the passing of the Labor Act or minimum wage. These were results that came out of the 1937 riots. The passing of the Employment of Women, Young Persons and Children Act, bringing an end to child labor. The passing of the Workmen's Compensation Act. The passing of the Trade Union Act. The activating of the old Pension Act, which had been passed the previous year. The extension of the Social Welfare Office. The increase of the police force to 556. Non-commissioned officers under the direction of a commissioner, a deputy commissioner, 6 superintendents, and assistant superintendents. These were some of the developments which took place as a result of the 1937 riots. People died for these things. Mr. Franklin, good evening and happy May Day as a trade unionist. I want to also take this show to the time on the show to celebrate you, Mr. Franklin, for the work that you are doing on behalf of labor in this country. I know for a lot of people, had it not been for you, whether they're part of your union or they're part of another union, I know that they listen to the show and they've learned a lot from you. And all of us that's on tonight, we want to celebrate Caswell Franklin. And you hear the Frank in his name, like the Frank Walcott. Caswell Franklin, we want to celebrate you tonight and thank God for you. God bless you. You're muted.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. And Marcia, thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to come on this show each night to speak my mind. And the people in the audience could be doing far worse. They could be listening to me, but so I'm grateful that you're listening to me. Because we heard her yesterday, and you really didn't language, and I'm not going to go over it again because I wanted to talk about that, but she didn't rise to the occasion. And at least I don't understand. She understood the occasion, And I come on to the back end of what Glenn was talking about, and I want to mention, like, May Day celebrations, May Day, first day of May, and he was correct. Tom actually changed it, and the union, Fabulous Workers Union, kicked hell to get it back to where it was, because that day was sacred, almost sacrosanct. People like to say, I don't know those big words, for the workers' movement, and they fought and they get it back to where it was made, because the only, like, for instance, except in North America, Canada, and United States, May 1st is Labor Day throughout the rest of the world. The Americans are going to be different. They have theirs in September. And so I won't go into that, the reasons for that, but just because they didn't want to conform. There are people who have the World Series playing with only American teams, so you can understand what is happening there. The subsidized Fabulous Workers Union, that has been going on for some time. The Fabulous Workers Union cannot be a going concern. It cannot pay its staff, it cannot pay its bills, because the membership has shrunk from 1984, when I went to George Mini Center for Labor Studies. I had to do a paper on Barbados, and I had to do some research. Barbados Workers Union had 25,000 members. Today, they can't find 10,000. And there has to be a reason for that. The reason is, to my mind, is that they are not doing what they're formed to do. They're getting involved in everything else. They're getting, mind you, and people say, oh, trade unionists should be involved in government. That's nonsense. I believe a trade unionist should be involved at the highest level. However, it must be a trade unionist with integrity. Go back to Frank Walker in 1970. Public Order Act. when we had the Black Power riots throughout the Caribbean, we had Stokely Carmichael and all this. The government in the Caribbean got frightened for the Black Power.
Mm-hmm.
And Barrow was among them. And he put in place draconian measures under what they call a Public Order Act.
Right.
And what that did, prevented people from holding meetings without police permission and all kind of stuff. Having marches, you have to get police permission, all kind of stuff. Well,
pay for the permission, not just get the permission, you have to pay.
Right. Frank Walker, unions don't pay. Frank Walker fought for that. Frank Walker fought to make sure that the unions could hold meetings. They see how you hold meetings in the Independence Square and have to ask for permission. No, you just secure the as a union, you just have to secure the location, and you don't got anybody's permission, police or otherwise, to have a public meeting. Those are things that Frank Walker fought for and had exemptions. If you pick up a copy of the Public Order Act, you will see that unions are exempted from a lot of the things that other people can think. When we started these marches that we're having, I was tempted to go up to trade union, but that would have been dishonest of me. So I allowed us to continue, even me pulling my pocket in some instances. And marches, we pull our pockets to get the marches done when we don't have resources elsewhere. So, but I refused to use the ambit of the trade union to have these meetings and have these marches, because it was not necessarily the trade union, Unity Workers Union. As a matter of fact, when they started, the president didn't even know about it. He found I talked about it a bit later, so I couldn't very well do that. But unions were exempt from a lot of things that the average people, and that was because Frank Walker fought against Ira Barrow when Frank Walker was a member of the Democratic Labour Party. Frank Walker had strikes against the government, and he was a member of the parliament on the Democratic Labour Party side. It has nothing to do with laborers can't get involved in government can't get involved in labor. That's nonsense. When you have integrity, you know how to do the right thing. Frank Walker did the right thing on a lot of occasions, not all, because I can cite some instances, but there's not the time for that. No. But he stood up for workers. Now we have a trade union movement where the majority of the leadership of trade unions in Barbados stay up for the Barbados Labour Party. They stand up for the Barbados Labour Party. So people then start judging trade unionists by them. For instance, myself, I don't want to be an MP. I had offers to be MP and to run by this government, this current opposition, before and now, but I refuse, because it isn't because I think it'd be a conflict of interest. I believe that if I am going to do this job that I'm doing now, I can't do two. It's going to be relatively difficult. Mind you, it will secure me financially, but I can't do two and do them well. I can concentrate on one and do it well, or do half donkey, you change the name if you like, measures in both. So I consciously decided that I will not be participating in elective politics, because what has happened, what used to happen with Frank Walker stood up for the unions first, and then he stood up for the Democratic Labour Party. But the workers always took precedence when it comes to, because that's where his bread was buttered. Now we're seeing people these days where they believe that their bread is buttered in the party, Barbados Labour Party, because the union people are leaving in such numbers that you can't secure your future in the Barbados Workers Union. In order to build up the Barbados Workers Union, government pretended to needing the Labour College for housing and all kinds of nonsense during COVID and for sheltering homeless people, in order to pay them $100,000 a month. Right? You have a situation where the general secretary of the two major unions drive duty-free cars. They come with a cost. I remember receiving a call from someone in the Ministry of Finance explaining to me that I am a general secretary of the union and I could apply to get a duty-free card. I'm entitled. I said to him, you don't understand the law. That's not what the law says. The law that you're referring to is that the minister can waive duty on anything in Barbados. And what they do is they approach the minister and ask the minister to waive duty on their vehicles. So Barbados Workers Union, they have a Mercedes-Benz, BW, and UPW has a BMW duty-free. They're going to pay for it somehow. They're going to pay for those little things somehow. So when it means that you got to wink when you have to represent workers in some instance, or do like what they're doing now, there's an amalgamation of the social agencies, and the unions have already agreed. Yet still, well, not the unions, because I have not, on behalf of Unity, agreed to anything. But they have not sent a document specifying what the terms and conditions and what this thing is. But yet still, people agree to it. They have agreed to it before they get the documentation. So you could understand why we are in the mess that we are in, you know. But one of the things I came on to talk about was Colin Jordan patting himself on the back in today's newspaper. Sorry I didn't have it up with me right now because I'm speaking on the iPad that is on.
And it's on, that was Barbados Today. We might be able to find it.
In the Nation today.
In the Nation, so we can look for that.
Yeah, but what I can speak of, I think somebody sent a picture of it to me because it was something that they were concerned about. Colin Jordan cited the things that the Barbados Labour Party government over the last 6 years has done for labor. The first one was the salaries of public officers have been increased 3 times. You remember that somewhere? That was the Prime Minister's speech. They said, well, this is the talking points that we're going to come with. So the first point is they give us that salary increases for 3 years. Mind you, the Prime Minister's increase was over $1,500. The messenger was 103. So what fantastic salary increase they're talking about? They're buttered. Somebody got buttered. They feathered their own nest. So when you, like for instance, you have a messenger earning $2,000, but the Prime Minister earning $20,000, and you give both of them a 3% increase. Who you think getting a good increase? Huh? That's what they do. So it is smoke and mirrors. You pretending to care about people. But, that was a slip. I didn't.
Yeah. And somebody's asking a question here based on something you just said. It's on the screen.
Tony Moore receives a salary from government, a backbencher. She used to be a backbencher and got normal backbenchers pay. But that was increased by $3,000 a month when they came up with the idea of having standing committees of parliament. So instead of just giving you a backbencher pay where you would get like $7,000, they said, well, okay, you're gonna make you a chairman of committees. So the chairman of committees now, without telling people of the country what they were doing, they have added on another 3 chairmen. You had 1 chairman of committees, and that was a nuisance job anyway, because all that chairman of committees used to do is, and I can show you how it happened. You know, when the bill is passed, the second reading of the bill, you go into committee on the bill. So and all happens is that you're supposed to discuss it in committee, but no discussion never happened. So the chairman just sits down and says, but somebody says, I beg to move that clause 1 stand part. The chairman puts the question, then he says, you know, the ayes have it or whatever, clause 1 stand part. That's all he do. So as a result of that, he gets another $3,000 more than the average MP. And they have made 3 others and Tony Moore being one of them. So she does get a fairly decent salary from the government. She gets a salary from the Barbados Workers Union. She also gets paid from the ILO. A lot of people don't know that. But because she took over from so Roy Trotman, and he got paid from the ILO, so she's doing the same. If that answers your question, but let me get back now to Colin Jordan and his champion the chess. It's talking about the reverse tax credit has been restored. I don't remember when they were abolished. Compensatory income credit was introduced. Then it goes on to say the national minimum wage was introduced and the sectoral minimum wage been put in place for security officers. The minimum wage bill is a 2017 bill when Colin Jordan was in the House. You know, all they did was to continue the work that Saku and the Democratic Party has started, and they came with this minimum wage, and as a result of this, a lot of people are getting less money, even though they were getting. Let's say you were earning $250 a week for 5 days a week. The government comes with a minimum wage, and you're getting $240 now, even though the minimum wage has increased. You want to know why? Because the employer said, well, okay, the government insists that we got to pay you a particular rate for 5 days, we can pay you for 4 days. So people get a 4-day week now. So what they need to do is to fix things like that rather than make it look as though they have done something for people. What they have done is to cause some people not to be able to pay their bills. So there's not something to thump your chest at yet. You're going to fix it. Because a lot of workers having now getting a minimum wage, which was higher than what they were getting before, the government has made it possible to get less. And they're greedy employers and people who decide, well, they don't want to pay my workers, because there are a lot of employers who want to keep their workers poor and keep them dependent on them.
Yes.
Right? 3,000 public officers were appointed, he says. But they sent home 2,000 and some. You know? Talk about them.
Uh-huh.
But what they have done is to replace a lot of them with contract workers who are Barbados Labour Party supporters. And even their supporters, they have been cheating because they are calling the contract workers and not paying their national insurance. So when you get injured on the job, like our friend did when she fell into the well, there was no national insurance component for her to get injury benefits as a result. So this government is cheating all like now. We have a good friend, Marcia, we'll not call her name because she went into the government department recently, one of our regulars here. And when she got there, she said, look, no, this is wrong. You can't hire people and not pay national insurance. So I understand they decided they're going to get rid of her because she got another one, change things she want, enforce the law. You know, I'll tell you who that is off thing.
Yeah.
You know, and then he says that they put in place minimum rates of pay and conditions of work were established when businesses receive government contracts for construction or road building. I'm trying to read from a faded thing, so excuse me.
Yeah.
The thing is, Marcia, that legislation was brought into force on the 30th of April, 1952. When Colin Jordan's parents hadn't even met yet. Then none that he do. That's Brandy Adams. Not him. But he here got listed as one of the things that they've done. The law was always there.
Right.
They refused to enforce it. Now that they enforced it, he's saying, oh, they established. No, nonsense. 1952, Marcia, it is called the labor clauses.
Right. Come closer to the mic. Come closer to the mic, Mr. Franklin. Somehow we're missing
it. It is called the Labor Clauses Public Contracts Act that he is taking credit for. He hasn't even been born. I don't think his parents met yet. They're in school. So, you know, and he's taking credit for something that Grant Adams did. But what they are doing now, they're not telling you that the Labor Department is is a mess. The labor officers, there are not enough labor officers to do the work. A labor officer sits at their desk for a few minutes a day because they've got to be in the field. Out there, you got problems, people falling off, got scaffolding and things. Who do you think I'll go out there and investigate? Labor officers. But that labor officer got a phone on the desk in the office. So you will hear people saying, oh, the labor officer answering the phone. You can't answer the phone. You out in the field. Somebody ain't paid a vacation to pay the staff, which is a criminal offense. And labor officer got to get up and go. And then when the employers refuse to comply with the instructions of the labor office, you're going to put them in court. Who you think go in court with that employer? The labor officer. So the labor officer gets a summons to come to court at 9 o'clock. When 1 o'clock, the case ain't called yet, but and you don't know when it can call. Because, you know, the court tell you come there for 9 o'clock, and you get there so at 10, and the case called, you're in contempt. So you got to go and stop there from 9 o'clock, and let all the cases go on and on and on and on, while you're waiting. And then the labor officer, the case gets called, then the lawyer on the other side says they want adjournment, and they get it. So labor officer will spend the whole day in court and done nothing productive. And people are blaming the labor department. Mind you, they have a chief labor officer, they know what's going on. But the other people who are competent within the labor department, you can't blame them. And labor officers are leaving, finding jobs elsewhere because of the way they're being treated. They had to resort to bring back retirees to help with the workload, because you cannot get the work done in there with so few staff. Then having the few staff, they have to do these cases. That's why I don't quarrel with them too much. They have 42 days to bring a matter for what they call conciliation, where you get the two sides together and they try to trash out the problem. 42 days. 42 months sometimes pass and you can't get, because some of the employers don't turn up, they don't comply with the instruction labor officer, all kinds of things. But then after they finish the conciliation process and the two sides have not come together, then it goes up to the tribunal. The tribunal got 300 cases pending. 300. No chairman, one deputy chairman, and there are 3 panels. The tribunal has 12 people on it, 9 people on it, sorry. And each panel consists of 3 people: an attorney at law, one who represents labor, and one who represents the employers. They form the tribunal. They form a panel. Right now, you can only form 1 panel. And in any event, when they were capable of forming 3 panels, when they had 2 deputy chairs and the chair, they could only do 1 case because the Minister of Labor did not provide any backup, any resources for 2 panels or 3 panels, because you had 1 secretary and 1 transcription person. Hey, that's not 2 people. That's a woman doing 2 roles.
Mm-hmm.
So you have 1 person to serve 3 panels. I know Ms. Douglas Collins is very efficient, but she can't be so efficient that she could be 3 places at the same time. And rather than put measures in place, they thump in the chest about things that they did, that Grant Adams did for people, you know, and claiming them on the shit. Glenn, you're trying to say something?
Yes. I just got a message from a friend. You said that you've outlined this current situation with the Employment Rights Tribunal, but he wants to know what is happening with the severance payment tribunals. Have they been meeting? Because there are people there who have been 5, 6, 10 years waiting for decisions for combination of cases that are not happening. Do you have any update on what's happening with the
Right.
severance
Before
payment tribunals?
Mr. Franklin answers that question, I just want to say that I have Apostle Scantlebury waiting, so we will give another 5 minutes to wrap up this segment, and then whatever we didn't get to finish in this segment, we can
We'll do
do
another time.
at the end of towards the end of the program. But answer, go ahead, Mr. Franklin, another 5 minutes, and then we will.
We had a situation where the tribunal employed the Cybercrime tribunal were put on hold. They weren't doing anything, and unfortunately, you have a situation where now labor and the employers have to recommend, just like the tripartite panels, but they are putting people in place who don't know anything about cyber experiment things. So you got to teach them now. First of all, one of the people on the cyber experiment tribunal is the president of NUPW, clerical officer in statistics. You know, but they go for the stipend. Don't know a thing, can't write a decision. Don't know anything about these cases, but they have them there and they get appointed. Because the unions recommend some person, then the minister automatically appoints them. So the unions are to blame for some of the reasons why you can't get these cases done. And now, under this new dispensation of the national insurance, they haven't sorted out that part yet. If they started out within the last 2 weeks or so. So the national insurance is a complete mess, and the cyber experiment tribunals are part of the national insurance system. You know, right now, national insurance is suffering badly, and you're paying people fantastic salaries, but you can't get the work done because the people some of the people who are competent and capable did not go over, as Colin Jordan said, so you can't get the work done. So people now can't get the benefits. Mind you, people getting $2,000 a month more on their salary to do the work. It's just that the work ain't getting done. Because the underlings who did the work, he said, I ain't coming. You know? So that is one of the problems. You're not getting cyber employment matters heard either. But with the employment rights matters, it is just as critical or worse, because these are people who lost their jobs, all in both cases, and they're waiting for the outcome of these matters. But you can't get a hearing, you can't even get the matter started, all because Colin Jordan, rather than put things in place, get them to pretty talking points that somebody write for them, and do not tell. And I'm not going to say not tell the truth, because I got very offended when somebody said that I didn't tell the truth. And Master, sorry, but it was I wanted to do this disclaimer or whatever you call it before it started. You know, some person called me and they said, you know, Caswell, with the cybercrime bill, I see how you reacted to Sir David Simmons when he said that you were not telling the truth. You know, and you really want should really reconsider, you know, your anger. And I said, but you know, if you look at it, what he has done to me is exactly what they're trying to legislate. That if he hurt my feelings, caused me embarrassment, he could go to jail for 7 years, and he won't put something down in place. So I will remain angry. So personally, mind you, I want people to call me and tell me when they think I'm wrong. But this case, I don't feel so. So for that person who called, they don't identify themselves. But for that person, I want to tell them that it hurt me. I was hurt because some person who I looked up to for 39 years went on TV, YouTube, Instagram, CBC, and said that I was lying. Because if I'm telling the truth, that means I lying. I was embarrassed. I was hurt. And that is exactly what the law that they want to put in place says. That if it caused me that kind of hurt, you could go to jail for 7 years. I am only sorry that they are in place because people go sue him or call the police for him. That's it, Marcy. I just want to put that in because some person called.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Mr. Franklin, and we're going to go back to the cybercrime bill. Actually, I see Apostle Canterbury is on, and we're going to hear more of Mr. Franklin towards the end of the program. So hold on. I know it's May Day, and he's a labor man, and we want to hear everything. Thank you so much, Mr. Franklin, for setting the record straight. Mr. Colin Jordan. But we're going to go right now into talking a bit more on the cybercrime bill. Apostle Lynn Royce Canterbury is here, and he is one of those spiritual leaders that is not afraid to open his mouth and to speak truth. And so like the cybercrime bill would be one of those, if that gets proclaimed, he for sure would be one of those pastors we see that could possibly get the 7 years. Of course, they're looking at people like Franklin and everybody on here, but he's one of those leaders that could possibly get the 7 years because he speaks truth. And a lot of times the truth hurts. It's truth, but it will hurt, and cause offense. And just as he's coming on, guys, I want you to share. There are almost 1,000 of you on, and I'm not sure yet, Mr. Franklin, if we are even at 300 likes. I need us to take a moment and hit that thumbs up, right? There's a thumbs up button, and to share the program, share the broadcast. Those of you who are watching, share the broadcast and hit the like button and get us up in the algorithm. Okay, so we can aim. You, Celine, is saying we can aim for 350 likes. Okay, I don't know what the number is that we're at. The last time I checked was below 300. So how much is it, Mr. Franklin? Do you know?
No, I don't have my other device here with me.
Okay. All right, no problem. But guys, let's push it up to 350 likes before Apostle Canterbury's finished tonight, because I know he's coming with something really strong. Sir, good night. Good night. Good night. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, ma'am?
I am fantastic. I'm having a wonderful time. I had a great day today. I'm very
Oh, well.
peaceful, very relaxing, and we're here tonight. We're warring. We're talking here
Well,
about the cybercrime bill, and I remember you were on the truck at the march,
yes,
which
ma'am.
is coming up again this Saturday. We've asked you to be there again because you were fire as we were coming around the bend. You were sharing licks. Where my belt? I know I need to get my. I need to get my belt. They don't like me to use my belt, Mr. Franklin. They say it looks too violent. But it's symbolic. On this show we teach and we beat. We beat and teach. But go ahead. I know you're gonna do some beating and teaching tonight. So talk to us, talk to Barbados about the cybercrime bill. What is it, man of God, you want to say to the people of this country?
Well, first of all, let me say a special good night to you and to all of the panelists. Good to see Mr. Franklin again. And I really appreciate all that you're doing to sensitize the public here in Barbados, and then Barbadians worldwide, and then individuals around the world about the atrocities that are happening here in Barbados governmentally. But I want to start up tonight, if you would allow me, three things that I want to look at in relation to this cybercrime bill. And those three areas deals with human rights violation, it deals with excessive punishment, and then the third thing I want to speak about is the satanic influence of this bill.
Mhm.
And but I'm going to open by saying that this bill should never, this should never have been brought to the House of Parliament, and it should have never been before the people of Barbados. This, in my opinion, is this is a huge embarrassment to Barbados on a whole. The mere fact that we can have a government that could sit and devise such an attack, let me put it this way, an attack on freedom of speech and our culture, and obviously an attack on the reality of the governance that we should be getting as a people. I mean, there are larger countries around the world with millions of people who have not even thought of something as a cybercrimes bill. But to have it brought to 166 square miles with just over 384,000 persons living here, for a government to sit and devise such a dastardly, vicious bill and such a great attack on the people here in Barbados, it tells us the type of government that we're dealing with. And so I want to just say a few things here, and I hope that those who are listening would have an understanding of what I'm going to say about this bill. Number one, we're looking at the area of the attack on freedom of speech and also the freedom of expression. You want to control what people say. You want to control people's use of their devices, and all of this says to the public here in Barbados, and especially the church here in Barbados, that we're dealing with a very diabolical leadership. I have said it over and over again, and I have been attacked very viciously by individuals and even ministers alike when I said that we are dealing with the most demonic government that we've ever had. And I stand by those words, because it's one thing to, for God to show you who a person is. And I've said this again and again. I don't hate Mia Motley. I hate what she represents. I hate what she stands for as a leader. I know there are individuals out there that no matter what they do, they're in favor of it. But, when the Lord shows you what a person is going to do and what a person is like, what they represent spiritually, I would rather listen to and follow the leading of the Lord on this matter. There's a case where the prophet Elisha spoke over Hazael. He told Hazael, the Lord has shown me that you are going to become king of Syria. And but he said, he started to cry. He said the Lord also showed him what he's going to do when he becomes king, how he's going to kill the women, how he's going to rip babies out of the bodies of pregnant women, all of these really terrible things he was going to do. And he said, no, man of God, that's not me. I'm not like that. And he actually left the presence of Elisha, and he went and suffocated King Ben-Hadad, took over the kingdom, and he did exactly what the prophet Elijah said the Lord showed him he was going to do. And I want those who are listening to know that this administration under Miss Motley is doing exactly what the Lord showed me they were going to do to Barbados. So I am not surprised at this bill, but I am very cautious and aware of what a bill like this is actually going to do to the people of Barbados, and I know where it's coming from. So I want to just say this about the $70,000 fine and then 7 years imprisonment. I want to explain this. Now, a number of years ago, I was on the board of a secondary school here in Barbados. I'm not going to name the school, but we had a situation that the board had to deal with. And that situation led to the individual who was a member of staff coming before the board and had to bring representation. They brought Mr. Hal Gollop as their legal representative. Mr. Gollop showed up there with the handbook of the ministry, from the Ministry of Education, that deals with all of the laws, the bylaws, and all of the governing precedents that that's necessary to govern the smooth operation of the school. He pointed out that in the meeting, he pointed out from reading from the laws of the Ministry of Education that the actions of the principal was what was deemed excessive. Okay, that the actions, according to the law books of the Ministry of Education, the action of the principal was excessive, and therefore the principal was actually in breach of the laws of the Ministry of Education. And so with that being said, it really, we really couldn't go any further with the matter at hand, because from a legal perspective, the punishment that he would have inflicted on the student was deemed, according to the law, excessive. Now, this government has brought this bill, and the punishment that they have laid out for what they call a cybercrime, the punishment is excessive, which means that they have already breached the laws of Barbados by not having a set constitution and by disregarding the former constitution set by England. This punishment for this crime is what is considered excessive. So the government has already breached the constitution. Okay. Now, I want to make this abundantly clear here that the reality of this unconstitutional act, that they can bring this bill to Parliament, seek to have this bill passed, and to inflict what is called or deemed excessive punishment on the people of Barbados, $70,000 fine or 7 years in prison for something that they have not properly sat down and thought out. They have not really given the idea to what do you really deem as insulting or defamation of character. You know, I personally went through, my wife and I and my ministry during COVID, we went through a season where there were things that were said about me in the media that I never said. To this day, I've not had a single interview with any media house in Barbados. And yet there were things that were said about me in media. And I didn't come out and say, I'm so embarrassed, I'm going to sue the nation or I'm going to sue Barbados today. You know, you have to know, my dad told me a long time ago, when people say things about you that are negative, all you have to do is to make sure that what they say about you isn't true. Okay. And this is one of the things that individuals have to understand. This government, they don't care whether it's a man, a woman with a family, a business, or a job. They are just looking to inflict major punishment on the people of Barbados. And it is the use of fear. It is the use of fear as a weapon of mass destruction and intimidation. And I want to explain this to you from a biblical standpoint. You know, I'm a preacher, so I am going to share some things with you from the Word of God about this. So the reality is that in Egypt, and you'll read this in Exodus chapter 1, the Bible says a Pharaoh arose that did not know Joseph. He didn't know about the input that Joseph had made in the development of Egypt, but he came about, he did not know Joseph. And then he said this to his people. He said, now the children of Israel, they are greater, they are stronger, they are more than we are. And come, let us deal wisely with them, lest if our enemies come against us, they join with our enemies and get themselves out of the land. And so they started to inflict, you know, a lot of hardship on the children of Israel. In other words, the Pharaoh and his people broke their constitution to interfere with the children of Israel. And this is what this bill is doing. This bill is a clear sign that this administration will break their constitution just to enslave and to impoverish and to bring fear and to control the people of Barbados. Now, when you look at that story, you'll see the demonic plan behind that system. All we want to do is to stop the people from being free. We want to stop the people from joining with our enemies and getting themselves out of the land. We have to do whatever we need to do to keep them here, to keep them down, to keep them impoverished, to keep them enslaved. And this is what the cybercrime bill is doing. This is not the doing of Mia Motley. This is not the doing of the Barbados Labour Party. This is the doing of the people behind Mia Motley and behind the Barbados Labour Party that are using them to bring this type of situation here into Barbados. Now, right at this point, Madam Weeks, someone sent me a clip, and I just want to share a little bit about that clip that was sent to me. And this is going to prove again that the Motley administration has deceived the people of Barbados. And here's the clip. This is out of the mouth of Miss Motley herself on the back of a truck in a rally. against the then leadership of the country, which was the Democratic Labour Party. And these are actually her words. She says, today is about sending a message that the people of Barbados will not allow anybody, neither Barbados Labour Party, Democratic Labour Party, private sector, to intimidate them, not ever again. You have been raised to think for yourselves, and you have the right to speak out. You have the right to speak out without somebody trying to unfair you in this country. So today is equally about reclaiming for Barbadians the right to express themselves in an environment. And that's where the video that I was sent stopped. So here again, you see that Barbadians have been deceived by the words of Mia Motley, because now she's actually doing the absolute opposite to what she said should not happen in Barbados. She's now doing the absolute opposite to this. And we have a nation that the moment you say something about this administration, they got a problem with it. And so I believe that this bill is more about protecting them from what people have to say, rather than just being maliciously involved in what the public is actually doing. The other element that I have that I'm concerned about is, again, this principle of how much this is what I consider to be satanic. You'll see this with the 3 Hebrew boys. Again, if you don't bow to our image, we're going to burn you alive. Again, punishment, excessive. Okay, if you're found praying to any other god other than the God of the Medes and the Persians, we throw you in the lion's den. Okay, so again, you look and you'll see that this cybercrime bill and the punishment that is being levied against Barbadians, this is what we call excessive punishment. Okay, and for men of God who we have to preach the word of God, and many times the word of God already goes against a lot of what is going on in our nation, where we have to speak against LGBT, where we have to speak against corruption, where we have to speak against all of these things that are happening in our nation. And then the police force, they are allowed to scour through people's Facebook accounts and all of these different things, and then somebody can determine, just we said something, and now all of a sudden I feel embarrassed, I feel insulted, I feel hurt at something that is said that is in the word of God, that God actually says. We're just repeating what God says, and then all of a sudden we have a lawsuit against us for saying something that is biblically correct. I think we have a serious situation here on our hands, and it is important, very, very important, that the body of Christ begins to speak out against this. And I'm really shocked that there are even well-known legal entities and persons of repute in Barbados that are actually making sure that this bill goes where it needs to go. It's very, very shocking. But I want you to know that this is not really the fear of the people. This is the fear of the Barbados Labour Party. This is a sign of weakness where they're concerned, because they know right now they no longer have the ears and the eyes and the minds of the people. They are aware that they're not winning this government again. They're aware that the people are losing favor. They've lost favor with the people, and they're absolutely aware of it. And because of this, they're doing things to try to protect themselves, that people can't say things against them. But ladies and gentlemen, we have to understand, we have to recognize that as a people here in Barbados, again, we have a responsibility to make sure that we stand up, we remain vocal, we do what is necessary. And again, as far as I'm concerned, this bill should have never have come to the people of Barbados. It should have never been drafted. And I consider the people who sat down and actually drafted this document, I consider them as demonic as hell. And this is where, as a spiritual leader, I have to be praying very seriously about the Lord doing what is necessary to change our nation. And I love one of the things that the prophet Isaiah said, chapter 63 and verse 5. He mentions there that he says, the Lord looked and the Lord said, there is no one to help. He says, I was amazed and appalled, he said, that there was no one to uphold truth and right. And so by my own right hand, I got victory and I inflicted my wrath upon my enemies. And I want them to know, that God is not sitting back and he's going to allow this to happen. I promise them tonight on this broadcast, I promise the Barbados Labour Party that they will see the move of the right hand of the Lord against them in a very swift way, because all of this, the backdrop to all of this is demonic. It is absolutely satanic. And I want them to know, I want to be very loud and very vocal, but I want to be clear on what I am saying. This bill is demonic in nature. It is absolutely 100% demonic in nature. And I want the people who are behind them, those who sat down and drafted this bill up, I want you to know that the hand of the Lord is seriously against you. And this island is going to see victory coming in a very serious way to bring our people into a state of liberty and out from under the hand of this very evil and very wicked taskmaster that we have here in Barbados. So that's what I want to open and saying to you on tonight. And you know, to let the people of Barbados know we are coming for our nation. We're going to take our nation back. We're not going to allow them. We're not going to allow them to take Barbados any further down the tunnel, down the drain than they have already. The time to recover our nation and to bring our nation back to God, that time is here, Master Weeks. Thank you so much.
Wow.
That's what I want to say with my opening statements.
Yeah. Very, very powerful, Apostle Scanterbury. And you know, I am looking here. I want to thank you so much. I made a note there on that scripture that you shared, and putting the whole cybercrime bill in a spiritual context. I started off the show, Mr. Franklin, in saying to the audience that yes, we're fighting in the natural. We're logging on each night. We're having the show each night. We're marching. We have people presenting at in Parliament. People have made written submissions, etc. But there's also the need to pray and to see, you know, to see everything in a spiritual light. And that's what you have done tonight. And you didn't even hear the opening of what I said, but I'm so happy for what you've done, and you've shown how excessive that it is, and
yes, ma'am.
It's an overreach, just like what they were doing in the scripture there in Daniel back in that time. And I so appreciate you, sir, for what you're doing. And I wish there would be more leaders like yourself, Dr. Ferdinand, Apostle Margaret Breedy, who will be with us on Friday night. But I thank you so much for speaking up and speaking on behalf of everyone. But before you go, I want to engage yourself and all of us that's here, and Mr. Glenn Murray, Cousin Franklin, with this picture that we are seeing on the screen. And I'm going to highlight it because you said something that really stuck with me. You said this, in your opinion, as a man of God, this is the most demonic government that you've ever seen in Barbados.
Yes,
now,
ma'am.
Look at the shirts of these. What these? I'm not sure if you can actually see it properly on these. On this is what's on the shirt. Okay, this is Santia Bradshaw in between these two gentlemen, and you're soon gonna know exactly, especially the one to the left of Santia on the right of your screen, who he is. It says liars, thieves, wars, and whatever else, and he said vote them out, right?
Right.
And this has been sent all over social media, and he was speaking of the other party. You know, they were speaking of the other party that was in power. But isn't it interesting that they could be calling you know, their counterparts,
Pretty
liars,
much.
thieves, whores.
Right.
Why would you call somebody a whore? Liars, thieves, whores, and whatever else, vote them out.
Right.
You know, and
Right.
this particular gentleman here on the right, my understanding, and I can be corrected by Mr. Murray or Mr. Franklin, but what I'm understanding is that it's alleged that he is the IT person. He works very high, you know, he works heavily with the government, and he's
Right.
connected to this. He's one of the professionals that they've named, you know, with the cybercrime bill. But look at the shirt that he is wearing that
Right.
is passing throughout the whole of, I mean, all on social media and been
Right.
there on social media for years. What's going to
Right.
happen to somebody like him somebody says, well, I'm offended by this?
Yeah, well, Madam Weeks, it goes back to what I was saying. This bill is demonic in nature. If you look very carefully at the t-shirts there in questions, I mean, if this bill was to be around now, that is a clear, and that happened then, this will be a clear, clear case where someone can easily be sued. But you can see the ideal that is coming for someone to, first of all, um to think up the idea of a t-shirt like this, and then to move forward to have it printed, and then to have a government official or someone who's running for parliament to actually stand with and with a picture with this, to as though to say I'm in agreement with this. This shows you the type of persons that we have as our government right now, and it also shows you the type of persons that they have backing them. So we have to make sure, and I keep saying this, and I pray that more people will begin to wake up and understand that this nation is under very heavy, and very strong satanic and demonic forces. And it only takes only takes one person at the top of leadership to open the doorway for these forces to come in to our island and to begin to wreak havoc. And I've met many individuals. I've seen a whole lot of things here in Barbados, and I want individuals around to understand that we have a biblical scenario that is playing itself out again. Okay, and especially with the entrance of Mr. Thorne into the Democratic Labor Party. But those individuals, as the word of the Lord says, I'm not seeing anyone with justice. I'm not seeing anyone doing right. I'm not seeing anyone standing up for the people. And that's really what God wants. He said, I searched for a man to stand in the gap to make up the hedge, but I found none. That's a serious position to be in. But the Lord has found people here in Barbados that are serious about doing what is necessary. And again, as I said, I know this bill is a fair tactic from the Barbados Labour Party. They are the ones that are afraid right now. They are things that are going to come out about them, that when it reaches the public, it's going to enlighten the public to what they have been doing to Barbados for the last 3, 4, 5 years. They are afraid right now of the truth coming out about them. It's not a problem when the shoe's on the other foot. It's not a problem when they're the opposition and they're gunning after the Democratic Labor Party. Everything is good until the tables are turned. Okay, and I want individuals to understand more than ever before, we're dealing with a government. I've hardly seen my constituency representative leader. He's promised me since election he was going to visit World Harvest Ministries International. He's never come. Hardly seen him. We have a government where there's, they hardly talk. They have about 3 or 4 persons within that organization, that administration, that can actually speak publicly. And when they do speak publicly, they always put their feet in their mouth all the time. So what I'm saying here is, when you pay attention to who you're dealing with. The last time we were marching, We were around the time when, you know, Ms. Bradshaw was going to, you know, put all these letters in people's tails and all that kind of stuff. So what we're seeing is a very clear situation where the mindset of the leader is being passed on to those that are under her. It's not like David where he trained his people to kill giants. It's like train folk to work with the giants to kill people. So I want this to be very, very clear, that the time has come for the citizens of Barbados to stop messing around, not playing. We're not going to put our heads in the sand like an ostrich and hope that this is going to go away. It's not going to go away until Barbados sees the back of the Barbados Labour Party. If we really want to see change, that's where we have to go. But
Yes.
I know from what the Lord said to me that this is a dismantling of this party, and it's happening more and more rapidly. It's happening more and more rapidly. And this is where the Lord said, I'm going to put in my right hand at this time. Because when it comes to the safety, when it comes to the liberation of God's people, and God realizes where the leadership of a nation is taking his people, this is where he's going to step in. And they're going to see the hand of the Lord very, very soon. All of those individuals who have put their hands to this bill, their hands are against the Lord, and all of them are going to see the response of the Lord very, very soon. And we are on the verge, I should say, of a liberation coming to the people of Barbados from the Lord.
Marcia.
Just before Mr. Franklin, and I want to say, Mr. Reverend Scanterbury, thank you so much.
I want him.
Okay, good. I'm sorry.
There's something that he said.
Okay,
in the beginning when he read from the speech that Mayor made.
Yes. Okay.
I just sent it on to you, and Dave has it. It would be more impactful if we play it before he goes.
Okay. Let me check if Dave has received it.
Yeah, he has it. He has it.
Okay. So as he's going to put it up, it is being confirmed. You were saying that those people who had any hand into it, into the creating the cybercrime bill, and someone is confirming to me that I respect that this one of these gentlemen wearing this shirt, Reverend, has something to do. Is one of those professionals that have given some kind of advice or worked in some capacity on this bill. One of those gentlemen wearing the shirts. But let's listen to this speech.
Okay? The plan will be.
You can't disrespect police. You can't do that.
Where's Joe?
You never agree with that. You idiot. When you coming on with that. You never disrespect the law.
Joe, somebody had got Joe for me, please. In the life of this country, today is first about sending a message to the government about this bad solid waste tax that they need to repeal and rethink. The people of Barbados have spoken across the length and breadth that we have had 27 other taxes and fees imposed on us in the last 6 years. We can take no more. Secondly, today is about dealing with something that is deep in our soul as a people. We have walked and walked and walked across the length and breadth of this nation. I have too many messages on my phone. I have too many emails. There are too many people dressed in white across this country. Today is about sending a message that the people of Barbados will not allow anybody, neither Barbados Labour Party, Democratic Labour Party, private sector, to intimidate it. Not ever again. You have been raised to think for yourself, and you have the right to speak out. And you have the right to speak out without somebody trying to unfair you in this country. So today is equally about reclaiming for Barbadians the right to express themselves in an environment where fear is removed. We do not believe that the removal of a commissioner of police or the charging of a reverend for saying this is the worst government, or threatening businessmen with contracts, or threatening people with jobs. This cannot continue in the Barbados of the 21st century. And if ever the time comes that you give us the confidence to lead you, we too must ensure that we never rule a government to unfair or to cause fear in this country. This is the solemn promise of the Barbados Labour Party today.
Here we go. So again, as I said, she's deceived the Barbadian public. And so there's no way that this bill should ever have been brought to the, thank you very much, Mr. Franklin. I didn't have the full thing, but I really appreciate the fact that you had it. And it's very clear to the public. She said verbal contract that the Barbados Labour Party would never bring anything like this to the people. A verbal contract live that this would not happen under the Barbados Labour Party. And it has now come under the Barbados Labour Party. She's deceived the people of Barbados. She's lied to the people of Barbados, and she can never stand as my prime minister. I will not ever accept her as my prime minister. And I have my reasons for that. And this video just proves more and more why I have my stance. And I hope that more Barbadians realize the level of hypocrisy that we are sitting on a daily basis.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Reverend, for joining us, Apostle, for joining us tonight. And I know that you are going to be with us at the march. And I want you to give a word out to the church who says, you know, I shouldn't be involved in the march. I should not come out to the march. One Reverend Franklin, Mr. Franklin, was telling us that there was someone who said, a pastor who says, well, you know, we don't need to worry about the cybercrime bill. We just need to pray, you know, and so on. And I'm sure those kinds of people would not want to come to the march. But how important it is for people to come out to the march?
Well, you know, I've been with you so far in a number of the marches. I think, again, the importance of sensitizing Barbadians to the ills that are pervading them, and also the importance for the government and people of Barbados to realize that there are individuals out there who are willing to get together to march and to show to the public a level of solidarity. I have been with you, and I have you've given me the opportunity to speak on the platform, and it's critical for you know, pastors and leaders to come out and be a part of what's happening. But I'm certain that I have shared with you one of the major reasons why the church, most of the church, is not going to come out. But there are people that are going to come. And I think what has to happen, Madam Marcia, is that there must be a breaking of the whole of the Barbados Labour Party on pastors and leaders and men of God and women of God around the world. I think this administration has a very serious and nasty grip on the church, to the point that they have much of the church silence. I'm one of the individuals here in Barbados that I've never taken any money from them, and I'll never take any money from them. But they have, I know for a fact, they have a very strong grip on much of the church here in Barbados. It is something that was started in that party as a plan. and it has come to a very, very, very high place under this current administration. But it is important that we have not just churches, but leaders and business leaders and individuals from across the island to begin to wake up and realize that, you know, with this happening, your daughter could be in prison, your son could be in prison, your husband, your wife, your sister, your brother, your mom, your dad, you know, your pastor, your leader, your bishop, your apostle, your prophet, you know, could be arrested if we don't do what is necessary to stop this from happening. And again, I would say that it is vitally important, Madam Weeks, not only the church, but the entirety of Barbados to get together and come together and say, no, this has to stop. This has to stop. And I'm not just praying and you know, making a declaration. The Lord said he's going to put in his hand. I'm standing with the Lord on this matter.
Yes.
And we need to make sure that as men of God and women of God, I support what you're doing. I thank God, you know, for your heart and, you know, keeping things alive here. But the Lord is going to eventually open up the doorway, and there's coming a time when there's going to be a shot at one of these marches. I guarantee that you'll see when the strains and the restraints and the chains have been broken from off the minds and off the hearts of the people. When that day has come, and we have to keep pushing until the "Let My People Go" freedom cry is ringing out, and there is that moment that Pharaoh can no longer stand the pressure of God against him, that they release the people of God. And that day is coming for the people of Barbados, and I tell you, it's going to be a great day of rejoicing. So,
Yeah.
you know, my encouragement is, you know, to keep moving forward. And also to those of you who are out there across Barbados that you're watching the session, please make sure that you go out and give Madam Weeks and her team your support at this march. This is a very, very serious march, and we have a very serious bill in front of us, and we have to do what we have to do as a people to make sure, with the help of the Lord, that it is shut down. And I believe the Lord is already working to shut it down.
Amen. Thank you so much, Apostle. Always, always encouraging. We look forward to seeing you and the members of your church, Harvest International. What's the full
World
name?
Harvest Ministries International. Yes, ma'am.
Right. World Harvest Ministries International, WHMI.
Yes, ma'am.
We are hoping that they will come out. Numbers, that's very important. Very important. The numbers are important. So we are
Yes, ma'am.
looking for you and everybody. Tell Prophetess we want to see her up there as well.
Yep.
We're
She's listening
inviting
to you.
her.
I'm sure that she's listening.
Yes, and I owe her a call. I have to give her a call. I need to get her on the show one of these nights. All right.
Yes,
Thank you
ma'am.
so much, sir. God bless you.
You're welcome. Thank you again for having me, and good night to all.
Yes. God bless. Bye-bye.
Good. Blessings.
Well, that was awesome. Well, people want to hear this just before we hear Kimar. So let's hear this. Let's hear this.
That mass nor English, 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 English. Pretending to be good, I pretending to be good, just pretending to be good. I pretending to be good, I just pretending to care about people. 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 Pretending, and I'm pretending to be good at math nor English. I just pretending to care about people. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. I'm pretending to be good. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people.
All right, we had to put that one in there. That worked very, very well, right?
Beverly, I love it too.
that worked very well in there. Now, I was hoping to have. I sent Miss Corbin a message, but hoping to have Miss Corbin on tonight because remember her internet or technicals wasn't working. But I have Kimar there who wasn't been able to be on the last 2 nights that we were on. So I have to have him on. And Miss Corbin, I know she'll understand. She's scheduled for Friday, but I felt she had something to share on the cyber crime bill. So we'll see, but if not, we'll have Miss Corbin, and I promise you she would have been on tonight, but I'm not sure that that is going to happen. I really need to, give Kimar some space to share what he has to share because he hasn't been on at all. Kimar, good night, sir.
Hey, good night, everybody.
Hey, good night, Kimar.
Yeah, good night, Marcia, Caswell, Mr. Murray, and all of the members of the opposition. I want to see how happy I am to be back. Not that I ever left of anywhere, but uh, happy to be here again. How is everybody doing tonight?
We're good. We're good. We're fighting the fight, and we are looking to we're doing it in the spiritual and in the natural.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. As I said, glad to be on again. I missed the show for the last couple of nights, but it was good to watch and observe, and see the members online and the panelists giving out information and people coming on, and so it was good to sit back for a bit and see. However, in that time that I was off the camera, I was still moving around Barbados, right? And in my moving around Barbados, I went from Christchurch, St. No, we always in St. John, St. Philip. I went all over, but on Sunday, Monday, sorry, when they had these picnics, these political party picnics, you had one at East Coast, and then we had another one at St. Lucie, River Bay. On my way to River Bay, right, at St. Lucie, I say, well, I haven't been in the countryside for a while. Now let me take my time and drive. I don't want to get lost in St. Lucie either. And I drove past and I saw this big thing going up. I'm gonna say this word: the Hope Plantation in St. Lucie. Right? I don't know how many people are here who are from St. Lucie. I don't know how many people are here know about the Hope Plantation. Mr. Murray know about the Hope Plantation in St. Lucie, close to River Bay. Right? I passed the Hope Plantation in St. Lucie, right? And to my surprise, I saw this big construction thing going on at the Hope in St. Lucie, and I was wondering, what is this? What was this strange thing I've never heard about this thing? So when I got close, I recognized you had the Chinese flag on the left, and then you had the Barbados flag on the right. And from afar, I could have saw this big Chinese writing on this big blue thing, right? So there am I wondering, what is this? I saw living quarters where people were living. I saw this big compound. I saw tractors and bobcats and things moving away. But as far as I know, a couple of months ago, all of this was not here. So I said to myself, well, let me find out what's this happening. So when you look at the screen, I'm hoping that Dave can zoom in, that you can see the words on this thing. Okay? It says here the China Aid Project of Hope Agriculture Training Institute in Barbados. Right? So you see this word hope, right? And this word hope stems from the government's covenant of hope, right? You remember they gave us a covenant of hope.
Right.
And everything that they touched that had in their hope was a complete disaster, a trickery, and a robbery. They had the Hope Project, The Hope housing project. Then you had the Hope premium project with the cracked up walls and deteriorating houses. Now you got the Hope plantation again, being snapped up by the Chinese. Right? No, like I said, I did not know that this project was here. There was no celebration. There was no photo ops. There was no visit by the minister. There was no announcement by the prime minister. There was nothing at the start letting us know that so much acres of our land. Right? They're saying that the whole plantation is in St. Thomas, but don't get tight. There are two different projects going on. Right? There are two different projects going on. There's the Hope Agricultural Institute being built by the Chinese, and then there's a project called the Jukes Plantation, which is a partnership with UE and the Chinese. Right? So let me give you some context. Right? So everything that they touch called hope was hopeless. It turned into hopelessness. And this, from as what we can see here, is another hopeless project coming out from the government. Because as well, how could you, right, be receiving $45 million in grants from the Chinese government in total, and you not let the public know, or at least had a groundbreaking ceremony, or at least had a picture in the newspaper, letting the public know that you know allowed. Let me read some information. I don't want to, all of you like to put the facts. This project was started under the last administration, or engaged under the last Democratic Party administration, right? This project was rolled out by the Ministry of Education because it was intended to target those students who go to the SJPP, the Samuel Jackman Prescott Polytechnic, the BCC, and there was supposed to be a merger of those programs, right? So the government, the Chinese government, provided 4 grants through the Economic and Technical Cooperation Agreements. And I am reading directly from the Chinese website, right? The Chinese website. I'm reading from that website and reported to you what the Chinese are saying about it. So the Chinese provided 4 grants to support the construction of the whole Agricultural Training Institute on the following dates. The 18th of January 2017, the Chinese gave us a grant. On the 31st of October 2017, they gave us another grant. That was before under Ronald Jones. When the government changed in 2019, right, we had another grant on July the 5th. And then we had another grant from the Chinese on the 29th of November 2019. Right? And it says here that a second agricultural project, meaning the UWI Center for Food Security and Entrepreneurial Agricultural Park, was funded through these agreements, and the exact breakdown of the funds are unknown, though reports about the most recent economic and technical cooperation agreements between China and Barbados indicate that a total of $45 million of Barbadian currency has been granted by China for the 2 agricultural projects combined. Right? So it says here that the 2018 to 19 budget, which is Motley's budget, found, and you can go reference that at the Barbados Parliament, at least $6 million set aside in the budget for grant funding from the People's Republic of China to construct the first segment of the whole Agricultural Training Institute. Though it is unclear of how much of the total funding to this project that $6 million represents. So the $6 million was not all; it was only a piece. The whole Agricultural Training Institute, which will be located on 45 acres at the Hope Plantation in St. Lucie, its purpose is to provide a physical space for agricultural training programs at a variety of higher learning institutes, as well as secondary schools in Northern Barbados. And I gave you those institutes: BCC, SJPP, Samuel Johnson Prescott, and the Agricultural and Environmental Science Program at UWI. And the space they claim will be used for practical education in livestock rearing, farm management, crop production, facilities which will include halls residence that you can sleep, demonstration facilities of fruit and vegetable processing, greenhouse technologies, a research lab. Right? And it is saying here, and then you want to pay close attention to this one, that the 45 acres of land, which is set to be used by the Ministry of Agriculture. I remember Santia Bradshaw was the Minister of Education at this time, for the Institute. A memorandum of understanding was signed going back at 2016 between the Ministry of Education, the Barbados Agricultural Society, to create more cooperation on the Institute's project. And if you look in the Democratic Labour Party manifesto, because you're going to look, this Agricultural Training Institute was in that manifesto, right? However, when the government changed now, we didn't hear much about it. I saw one story in the newspaper about it from Santia Bradshaw, right? And it is saying here, Marcia, that the inspections of the project were first coordinated around March 2018, but the preliminary work on the project would have commenced as of August 2019. And that the Barbados GIS reported that the Hope Agricultural Training Institute's design review was close to completion, but has not yet been finished. And that the construction contract has been selected as of February 2022, but no groundbreaking ceremony has occurred.
Wow.
Something as large as this, something as large as, 45 acres of land that you giving over to the Chinese to build a project, because on the billboards, Marcia, so you have to put up those billboards stating what the project is for.
Yeah, but let's see if we can get those billboards up. They are some of the other pictures. Wow. Yeah, but continue, Kimar. Quite interesting.
Right. So I am wondering, right? I'm wondering, why did they hush this up? Why wasn't it public information and bragging all in the newspapers, letting us know that the government was continuing with this notion of giving 45 acres of land to the thing? So it says there, look, that the Ministry of Commerce and the People's Republic of China are the owners of this project. Right? They say that they're the owners. It is right there. And this billboard is right there for John Public to read. And
wow, yes, it said there at number 2, the project owner is the Ministry of Commerce of the People's Republic of China. I see it there.
This needs an explanation.
Can you make that section a little bigger? Yeah. Yes. Thanks, Dave. Yes.
There's a question I must ask now. Is this diplomatic property? Because when a foreign government owns property in Barbados, usually associated with an embassy. Like the Americans have an embassy up in Wildy, and that is considered part of the United States. Is this part of the People's Republic of China? These are questions that must be answered, because is it? Because they said the project owner. If they were saying that they were assistant Barbados, like I wouldn't have a problem. My mind, I have a problem with the Chinese helping me to do with food. But that aside, it says the project owner, and if the project owner is the People's Republic of China or the ministry thereof, this must be diplomatic property. And I think we need answers for that, Kima. This just can't, that's why the public doing it in the dark. You know, people who like darkness rather than light. There's something that good book says about them.
Well, I agree with you. Something of this magnitude, right? Something of this magnitude, you cover it up, right? You cover it up. So the Ministry of Education, right? The Ministry of Education needs to come and tell us why a construction contract was awarded 1 month after the 2022 general election. Because remember, the general election was in January 22, and the Chinese are reporting that the construction contract has been selected as of February 2022. So why 1 month after the 2022 general election in February, you could have been awarded a contract and still, right? If you go down there, what down there 2 years worth of work, right? What's happening on there is not 2 years worth of work. And how come a project of this magnitude that is so important to us, agriculture is supposed to be, it's supposed to be feeding the nation, helping us. So for a project like this, right? And this is where in Darwin now needs to be held accountable because he's the Ministry of Agriculture. Right? And how is it that an agricultural institute is being built in Barbados and not even NRA seems to know about it? And let's say he seems not to know about it because he never spoke to it. So I'm going to assume that he did not know. Right? I'm going to assume that he did not know. The officials from the Barbados Agricultural Society that they claim was part of the MOU, the officials from the BS didn't even know about it. Right? They didn't even know about it. So in the rear, on whatever his name is, in the rear, wherever, K. McConney, but we should say K. McConney, no, but I said to say Shantia Bradshaw because she was the Minister of Education and I am not into skateboard. So the same way how I believe that Dugate should be held accountable for those who houses and not Dwight Sullivan, I believe that Shantia Bradshaw should be held accountable for this one because this is really and truly a project, a joint project between the Ministry of Education and the Chinese, you know. Right? So,
Kima,
yes, sir.
yeah, I understand how aghast you are at this, but this is par for the course for the Chinese. The Chinese, and Caswell raised a question as to whether this project is a diplomatic residence and therefore has diplomatic immunity. The way the Chinese operate, they do not share information. They operate like a state within a state, even though they have a Chinese embassy there, and that would be under Geneva Convention that be considered Chinese property. The same thing happened at Sam Lodge. They control information. They don't do. We have a tradition in Barbados where when there's a major project, periodically the press will be invited, come and get updates, see what's happening. The Chinese do not allow that. As a matter of fact, when they were building Sam Lodge, and remember they had an outbreak of COVID or something at Sam Lodge, they had a big, almost a fight with the government of Barbados because they were trying to insist that the government of Barbados should not even alert to the public that there was an outbreak. They fought to death. They had a concept. So, but it seems to me that the government of Barbados is not always that strong and forceful in exercising its right for its public to be informed. Because you know how the Chinese control and repress information in their country. Therefore, they treat all these projects. There's a scarcity of. They just operate as though they are not accountable to anybody, and the government of Barbados has been going along with it step by step. So you see things spring up. That's it. They said there's no groundbreaking ceremony. They will do what they have to do, and Barbados accept and go on. I think it's a slap in the face of Barbadians. However, you can understand a diplomatic mission having certain immunities and rights and privilege as we would have in China. This is operating in our territory, in our world, in a democracy, supposed democracy, and for a government of Barbados allow any other, just any other investor or grant, they do not therefore have, they should not be able to repress and control and ignore information, ignore our way of life, our information way of life, as though we don't exist, as though we are in China. So that is what you have. It is a slap, it's an insult to us that we step after step. I remember when they built the Garfield Summer Gymnasium. They don't intermix. They grow their own food. So much so that they even accumulate their own feces and fed it to cabbage and vegetables. They do not believe in accounting for anything or spending anything in the country. They nobody. You don't see them go to the corner shop to buy the self-sustain. So all the money they bring down the labor. So all the returns of the money which we have to pay back, the benefits go back to China. They bring the equipment, everything. So that is just the way they operate, Kiwar. So bear that in mind.
But I'm glad you mentioned the fertilizer that they use, because I remember when Arthur was Prime Minister and they were constructing the project, business now the Ministry of Education, the Old Queen's College. They lived on the compound. They did everything there. They even got on vegetables.
Right.
And their fertilizers were collected in pours at night and put on the plants. And then you see them down, when they had an excess, they'll be down worrying by the gas station, selling those beautiful heads of Chinese cabbage and stuff on there. And when Oinabo found out, he went berserk and shut them down, calling the Ministry of Health thing, and because they were actually taking their feces from the night before and the urine, and apparently the urine got some good vegetables. But Marcia, I know you as a farmer, I don't think you use that type of fertilizer, but they'll be using it. They don't care. They're not. I have my difficulties with anything with the Chinese with food. I don't buy Chinese food here unless it is made by a Bajan chef in a Bajan restaurant. You call it Chinese food. But when you see the Chinese food being sold in Barbados, I have no qualms about saying no, thank you, ma'am. I will not eat any. Don't even try to entice me. I'm not going that way because I've seen their practices. They're not the most hygienic people, and we've had a history in Barbados of good public health. And they're destroying all of that. And when they can come and teach it to our people here talking about college, institute, and all kind of stuff, we need transparency. That has been promised. I remember the Prime Minister has promised transparency things going on here. But this thing, again, I must repeat, is as transparent as mud.
Yes, Kimar, continue. I know you dropped out.
Yes.
A bit, yeah.
Hey, but I had one article featured in the Nation newspaper, and I think it's just there on the screen. They say the Ministry of Education, Technology and Vocational Training and the People's Republic of China are pleased with the progress of the Hope Agricultural Training Institute at the Hope Plantation, St. Lucie. Minister of Education Cynthia Bradshaw and Ambassador Yan Zhisheng, forgive me if I pronounce it wrong, during a recent courtesy call, both expressed their satisfaction with the project, which is currently under construction. The objective of the Hope Agricultural Institute is to act as a partial training ground for students of BCC and SJPP as they seek to complete their associate degrees, diplomas, and certificates in agricultural programs. The Hope Agricultural Training Institute and UWI Center for Food Security and Entrepreneurship represent the largest cooperation between China and Barbados in the area of agriculture, with the grant of 45 million Barbados from China. And the implementation agreement on the Hope Institute is expected to be signed off on soon. Additionally, Ambassador Yan said that he was interested in the fact that the ministry had taken vocational training under its ambit since China had vast experience in that area. And he explained that most people in China mastered the skill since emphasis was placed on having experienced workers and a spirit of craftsmanship. Cynthia Bradshaw said her ministry had been making significant strides in the area of vocational training and welcomed the opportunity to work with China in this capacity as well. the education minister said, added that she was particularly interested in China's specialist schools and seeing what Barbados could wean from them in an effort to develop these type of schools in Barbados. She told the ambassador that the ministry was also hoping to learn from China's tradition of excellence, whether in the area of sports, culture, or education, meaning that the Chinese gonna build the stadium. So Bashaw is saying that the ministry looked at areas in which local schools were excelling and developing and develop the existing potential in those areas. And the other areas discussed were the success of UWA's Confucius Institute, which they claim has trained over 3,000 students in the Chinese language of Mandarin since opening 3 years ago, and Chinese scholarships to over 80 students who will be leaving soon to pursue studies in China, and China's donation of over $9 million in technological equipment to local schools. And there you have Satya Bashaw in the newspaper. However, as I said, for a project of this magnitude, there's no thing. I heard Mr. Murray make a comment just now about that Chinese would not want you to come out and how they operate in the way. That I understand you, but I've seen the Chinese and the government in pictures all over. When the Chinese give donations to the hospital during COVID, the ministers were up front smiling with the Chinese. Right? When the Chinese were doing the complant roads, they were up front smiling with the complant. When the Chinese came here and attended the Barbados Little Party conference, they were up front. They even had an entire party. So it isn't anything about doing it in the dark, because they operate open when it comes to the Chinese, and they should be operating in the open. But for something like this, where you are getting this grant money and you are hushing it, something is wrong. We need to get the facts, because these people tend to give away our country behind our backs. And why I'm concerned, Marcia, is that the Chinese are reporting that this project is also a project associated, right? Associated with the government of Barbados' forestry and fishing code. Right? So what does it have anything to do with fishing? But still, when you look at what the Chinese are reporting on their website, I don't speak Chinese or read it, by the way. The computer would translate it for you in English. Right? But here are the agencies that they claim have a role in this thing. Right? The Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, the Ministry of Education, the Barbados Agricultural Society, and the Shanghai Construction Group, which is state-owned Chinese. These are the agencies, right? And remember, I'm quoting directly from the Chinese website, and this is where I'm getting this information from. So that is merely the gist. I have some more clips and stuff, but I can't. I don't have the facilities that I can show you now, but that's basically the gist. We should know more about this.
Now, someone is saying here that this project was approved or was under the DLP, okay? But what you're saying is that there is another set of grant money. My understanding from what you're saying, that occurred after this administration came into power, and that set of money, the second project funds, is that the funds that goes now that is now funding UE or helping to fund UE?
Right. Part of the $45 million, they said that they're unsure if the total is really 45. That is what the Chinese say. They're unsure of it, but they topped it off at about $45 million split between the two projects, the Hope at St. Lucie and Dukes in St. Thomas, between the two.
Oh, okay. So it's 45 million between the two. Interesting.
Kima, if I may comment again, Kima, I think you might have misunderstood me. Um, I am saying, if can you remember when Sam Lowry's was being built?
Mhm.
How many press stories did you see out of Sam Lowry's?
But not many, but there were enough to let you know that something was going on up there.
Right. But all right, when you compare the donations to the hospital, those are things that where they have this benevolent image that is in their favor, or where the projects where Barbados' sovereignty and resources are concerned, they do not like to keep you informed. But you cannot blame them. You have to blame the China. You have to blame the Barbados government. Remember, I told you when they had an outbreak of disease at Sam Lords, they were insisting that not even the press should know about it. The government stuck to their guns, but always they're not sticking to their guns by keeping us involved. The process here, maybe because the government itself is not transparent enough in its own undertakings here. So I'm saying they are allowed to, the government allows them to get away with more than they should be got to get away with.
Recently, a story
Okay,
broke.
yes, as well.
Recently, a story broke in Nigeria.
Well, I
where
can't hear. We can't hear you. Try again.
Recently, a story broke in Nigeria where the Chinese banned black people from coming into one of their supermarkets. It was not because there's so many Chinese down there, they don't need the blacks to shop there anymore. And black people went in and they put them out, had armed security. And the Ministry of Commerce in Nigeria, after complaints, closed it down and to do an investigation. But I'm keeping my eye on that situation. I want to see what's going to happen because right now, China has too little space for all the people that they have, and they're expanding. And they can find the next thing that we can have a Chinese enclave here, and it might be down the Hope. Jukes, the buildings up there, and they have big, massive dogs. I don't know if those dogs are for security or lunch, but at least right now they are massive, and they have them there on the compound, so business can't even go on the compound. So we're gonna wait and see what is happening. If we are just being I was not subsumed, but Messi is consumed. They're taking us over completely into and making us a Chinese enclave. They're doing it. A lot of it was happening in Belize when they went there years ago. We have a lot of Chinese now in Guyana. They have just taken over a great section of Antigua for their own purposes. It's almost like a Chinese enclave with its own port and all kind of things. So we have to be careful. We cannot sell our souls. I prefer to be poor than be enslaved. My great grandparents were slaves. I have no intention of going back.
Yeah. You know, one of the things you said there, no, Mr. Murray said it. I see Rose has been waiting, and I know I don't have the time for her to talk about, to do the full presentation, but I would love for us to, just have a discussion among ourselves in the next couple minutes before we close out. So I would bring her in soon, but what I want to say is that the government, the previous administration, I lived close to Sam Lords, and I remember, as Mr. Murray was saying, that everything was so, yes, we knew about it, but it was kind of quiet. And then but people started to take pictures of it, Kimar, and started to say that it said that, and you saw nothing about Barbados on it, just Chinese writing and the name of the Chinese company that was doing everything was Chinese. And I could tell you that because we used to go walking in that area, and that's what was happening. However, the government of Barbados, they put their foot down. This was under the other government. I remember clearly about that. And you know what? They went and changed the sign. The Chinese had to change the sign and and you saw the BTMI logo came upon it as well. I could tell you that. So there are things that the government, they need to stand up and they need to say something. They need to tell us, why is it saying owned? That the project is owned. What does that mean? You know, we're seeing what is happening in Antigua right here. We're seeing what is happening in Jamaica to some extent. You know, so we really need to get. I agree with you, Kimar. You know, that we need to get some answers. But I do understand what Mr. Murray is saying, that if left up to them, Kimar, this continues. It is something that happens in darkness, then shrouded with secrecy. You know.
Well, this is the thing, because I don't want people to think that we are xenophobic and we don't like this body, and we don't. That's not it. You still have to deal with principles and people. So I don't blame the Chinese for anything that happens here, no. I blame the government, right? Because it is our people who have to sign on the dotted line, right? It is our people who have to give them permission to come here. They don't just barge in. As far as I know, the Chinese have not invaded any country in my. I mean, they might plan to invade Taiwan at a later date, but so far they have not done it yet, right? So my thing here is, if our government continues to do things like this behind our backs, right? And even if, I think that the Chinese should be proud to let the world know that they're helping Barbados construct an agricultural institute to help us save some foreign exchange by growing our own local foods or whatever. But what pains me here is that you continue to ignore local Barbadians, right? Who can be involved, who can help to tackle the problem of food security and help to feed this country. But no, you don't want to give them a chance. During COVID, the only sector to grow was agriculture. You completely ignore it to go to China. You remember, as of this week, they were saying that more buses coming in from China again.
Yes.
Right? So you're buying buses from China. You're bringing steel hoses from China. You're getting an agricultural institute built from China. You're getting roads built from China. You're getting the landlords built from China, along with a lot of many other things, right? So at the end of the day, we don't know what our governments have agreed to sign over, right? We just seeing things popping up. So I will say this: if the cybercrime bill was in place, you think that we were able to come on here and say these things?
Huh. That's where I want to get to in this last couple minutes. Continue.
Right. There's a video on there with at the location.
Okay,
I
that's the
suspect.
video there. Okay, let's play it.
Right. I suspect that those are living quarters or so where the workers who live on the site will construct the buildings or whatever. So there you have people living on the island, Chinese workers living on the island, and all of this is happening at St. Lucie. Right? So I'm thinking we should have been told something. But again, all of these surprise deals, we are going to wake up one day. The same way how during COVID, when we went inside and we came back out, we saw these big towers and these big things on the road that the government set up when we were inside. We're going to see tolls being set up, like what we have in Jamaica. Right? And I'm going to tell you that we got to pay to drive on our own roads in Barbados. Just hold on, because that is the way it is going. Right? $400 million to repair roads in the Scotland district. Right? You had monies to fix roads in the entire Scotland district. Remember, we discussed this thing about the Chinese and investing in the Scotland district and how they took $400 million to build roads and help to replenish. What is so special that all of this money is being spent in these areas and we're not being told? This is the thing, and then they would want to get all about and say that people don't like Chinese and you're xenophobic and you're supporting narratives of the West and you're pushing. No, simple, basic respect for the people of the country. Barbadians, we adhere to deal with the Chinese, and the Chinese are going to build us an agricultural institute to help tackle our food security. this is the amount of money we expect to spend, or we don't spend. This is what is happening. What is wrong with that?
Yeah. Wow. I'm telling you, if this is why we're saying to everybody, you see how important this tonight, because somebody said, where are the journalists, Mr. Franklin? They're saying, where are the journalists? And the question is this: if we don't have this show, where are you going to hear about this? Mr. Franklin, and they're going to try to shut the show down with the cybercrime bill if it's ever proclaimed. That would be, they wouldn't have to come and say shut the show down. But the fact that Kimar here could be locked up for this. Kimar here could be facing 7 years or $70,000 because somebody could be offended by what he's saying, right? Let me congratulate the participants tonight. Thank you, Slinkin, for keeping track for us. You see, we're a good team. We're at 400 likes because I don't watch it while it's going on. So thank you. We are at they said it's a bit over 400 likes.
418 now.
418 likes. Although we had, at one point we had about near 1,200 people on. So we need more likes, guys. That means, there are quite a number of you that's not liking the show, and we need you to like it. What it does for us is going to trigger the algorithm. People are going to be able to find us faster when you do that. Okay, so we thank you so much. Thank you. Very important. This is so much education going on. Let me see if Rose is still there and if she heard what Kimar is saying. Rose, give me a thumbs up if you're hearing me. Miss Corbin? I don't think she's hearing. Okay. Yeah. Yes. So, this is what is important, that this cybercrime bill needs to be repealed, and we will be on the road come Saturday at 10 o'clock. Kimar, what do you want to say to the people about this march on Saturday? How important is this?
Yeah. Well, I should say this. Does not forget that we're going to Parliament to discuss the cybercrime bill on the 6th of May, which is 2 days before the march. So we have to come and send
after the march, 2 days after.
No, the march is on the 4th.
Yeah.
Yes,
right.
Right.
2 days after.
Right. So I was saying it's 2 days before the march. Sorry, but we're gonna be at Parliament 2 days after the march.
Yeah.
Right. So we're gonna be at Parliament 2 days after the march. So we have to send a big message to all and sundry, to the entire globe, to the entire world, that the cybercrime bill, in which we requested, because remember we requested this to have a joint select committee on to have feedback on the issue. Now the way it came isn't the best, because there should have been a joint select committee at the House, not the Senate. Right? But nevertheless, it happened. So we need to send a big message to the government to repeal the bill altogether, slow down, and to come again, even if you use back some of what we had before in the Computer Misuse Act and add some new definitions that could be facilitated. But the way in which you have these draconian measures, all of Barbados, all social media users, all young people, well, not just young people, but all generations of Barbadians who believe in free speech, who believe that the education that was given to us, it was put there for us to speak. If the Lord didn't want us to speak, he would make everybody dumb. Right?
Yeah.
And no government, nowhere in the world, North Korea, China, don't matter, should take away a God-given right to free speech, or because you don't want nobody to criticize your wrongdoings. If you're doing the right thing, nobody will be over here doing what we're doing and criticizing. We criticize for a cause. We criticize for truth and righteousness. So if you don't want people to criticize you for doing nonsense, do the right thing, and there will be no reason to be bringing a cybercrime bill to shut up people for telling the truth on you. That is how we see it.
Yeah. Mr. Murray, what do you say to the people of Barbados? We have 10 minutes. I was trying to see if Rose could come in and say something, but I'm not hearing her. I'm not seeing any movement.
I'd say let us not take anything for granted. Let us not trust our eyes on your ears, and we have to dig and question and challenge everything. What I've seen, what I've heard, I was done in the compilation of this cybercrime bill, how we virtually put ourselves in the hands of the Budapest conventions and other Eurocentric laws and thinking and behavior and culture and their mode of behaving and they want for the society. We've imported some of that lock, stock, and barrel into the construction and the wording of this bill. Now, where the cyber crime, where the cyber security, cyber crime matter is concerned, we have to say in the context of the Chinese. Chinese is a society that's highly repressive, where they have millions of cameras all around China that follow people, take their pictures, track them. So if you go to the supermarket, they know. So this, who knows, we might be getting technical advice with the law through the Budapest Convention, etc., and from European thing, but we might be getting other assistance not known about. It might come through even the same hope thing that in St. Lucie that might be useful and helping them to technically look at Barbadians, follow Barbadians, supervise Barbadians, harass Barbadians, spy on Barbadians in their own country for their purposes.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Murray. Is Miss Corbin there? Miss Corbin, I have to apologize to you. I think I made it show 2 packed. However, you know you have your night on Friday night. Are you still there? Can you hear me? Okay, you're muted. Not sure if you're okay. Hello? Okay. Mr. Franklin, let's talk about the 2 big things that we have coming up. We have the presentations on the 6th, but we have our march on the 4th. And what are you expecting to happen on the 4th? How you think Barbadians are going to react and respond to what's going on?
Marcia, I am hoping that Bajans become more sensitized. If we can do it on this show, so be it. Because nobody else is doing it. Because everybody is marching to the beat of the government's drum. But Bajans must be aware that if they do not protest this bill and listen to government propaganda, they will find themselves and their children always in the law courts because of speaking up the truth in some cases. Because in Barbados, now our society has reached a stage where the truth will no longer set you free. The truth will get you in Dodge. And one thing I wanted to mention, but I can't do it tonight, but I will just ask parents who have children at Dodge, because people tend to think that when the fellow goes to Dodge, he still got mother, still got father, still got brothers and sisters. He would have made a mistake. Mm-hmm. And you can't punish them to the extent where you don't feed them properly. Right now there are 30 people in Dodge on hunger strike. And nobody is telling you anything about that because they want to keep it quiet. And if one of them dies, it will be hush-hush. I am not going to let that happen. They are not feed. The food is awful. And prison officers don't eat. Prisoners don't eat it. Refusing to eat it. Now, if I had said that after the bill is passed, I could find myself in jail. So things like that, even the people who have children in jail should be out there trying to help us protest, because nobody will be able to tell them about their children when things happen in the prison. All right? Nobody will be able to tell them that ministers of government take their vehicles up to Dodge to get them fixed for free in the prison workshop. They won't be able to tell you things like that because the minister might say that he feel hurt because he got a freebie. So that is where you gotta come out and hear what is going on in this country. Come out and help yourselves. I don't think you'll help me. Help yourselves, because this will not affect me alone. I might get to jail before most of you, but you will come. I will wait for you there. So if you don't stand up and speak up and let government be aware and that we are watching them, they will continue to do these things. So you have every right and every responsibility as a Barbadian to come out and protect yourself and your children. Because right now, you give the devices to your children. So if you don't stand up for them, you'll be responsible for getting them locked up.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I read a little bit of this book, and I just wanna remind people of something that I shared from it. This is the 1937 Disturbances of Barbados by G. Addington Ford, and you know, Kimar, it's a comment that was made by Charles Duncan O'Neill 2 years before the 1937 riots. This is what Charles Duncan O'Neill said 2 years before. He says, in the back alleys of Bridgetown, there is a dangerous spirit existing. I had to curb the passions of men recently because they wanted to do funny things. Unless the governor and his committee take urgent steps in this matter of unemployment, grave trouble is brewing in this country. And I want to say to the authorities in Barbados, this is what we're saying to you, that do not underestimate the people of Barbados. We do not need to have any violence, but I'm telling you, it's not the same Barbados. If you notice what is happening from community to community, people are speaking out. And this bill is seeking to retard that. It's to take us back from where we are coming from. It's to push us in a hole of passivity. That's what it's trying to do. Grantley Adams, he says this. Just before the disturbances in 1937, he said there's a limit to the forbearance of even so patient an animal as the average Barbadian. The native Barbadian is not much different from the native of St. Kitts or the native of Jamaica. And he was so correct. The 1937 riot showed that. He is more patient. But even a worm will turn. Listen to the people of Barbados. Even a worm will turn. Don't mind that they came, they went down and they had the free food and the free drink. But the moment you're going to try to take their freedoms away from them, you're going to see something else. There is danger in this island that at some time or the other, people who live under these horrible animal conditions will behave like animals. My hope is that it will never get that way. We don't need to go back to 1937. We don't need violence. We need to come together and make a strong no. Stand up together. And make a strong no. A strong no of resistance, a stance of resistance. And it doesn't have to be violent. You see how quickly the Prime Minister went back on the deal there with the plantation, with Draxall, because she was getting international pressure. Anything that is going to let her look bad is going to be a problem for her. She's going to pull back. This is the pullback government. All the people of Barbados, all that we have to do is to rise up and to do it in numbers. And rising up don't need burning tires. It don't need mashing up our country. It don't mean go and destroying the businesses in town. That's not what it means, and that's not what I'm advocating. I am saying to us, whatever we're doing, it's collective, it's non-violent, but it's a strong and a firm no to this government. And let it echo through the parishes of Barbados. Let that no echo. That's what we need to happen. And let us come out to the march. Let's bring out the numbers to the march. They are afraid of numbers. So that's my little thing there. And we are going to close. I don't know if I know Mr. Franklin had said his final words, and then I jumped
No,
on.
Marcia, my final word is to thank the 477 people who have liked the show so far tonight. And I would be even more grateful if a few more, I'd like to see 500 before we go in the next minute and a half. So thank you all so much. This helps us to get the show to more people.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Franklin, for doing that. I am so not into I don't do that enough. Everybody tells me, and I appreciate. I always look for somebody else to do it. But thank you. I just want to educate and to do the work. But I thank you for what you're doing, and share. Even though the show is over.
482.
Yes. Yes, Nigel is saying we need the immediate resignation of the government. We need something great to happen. Good night, Anderson Cherry. I will give you a call. I'll give you a call, sir. Good to see you on. All right. Okay, folks. So good night to everybody. God bless you all. We love you all, and we love Barbados. It's all about Barbados. If it's not about our Barbados, we're not in it. It's about this country. Thank you, Mr. Murray. Thank you, Kimar. Once again, thank you so very much, Apostle Linroy Canterbury, who was on. Thank you, of course, Tazwell Franklin, and I'm hearing myself in the background. Somebody's playing something. Thank you all so very much for your contribution tonight. Thank you to Dave for keeping the pictures and the videos going in such an efficient way. Thank you all so much. God bless you. Bye-bye, everybody.
Good night. Good night.
Good night. 494 likes.
It's been a pleasure.
494 likes.
Marcia, tomorrow, by the way,
Yes, Kimar is on tonight, tomorrow. I remembered when you were on. Kimar is on. Thank you, Kimar, for reminding us. Kimar is on tomorrow, and he's talking all about the economy. You've got to get on to that show tomorrow. Alternate Views. Go to YouTube and search for it. Okay, Alternate Views right there on YouTube tomorrow night, same time. Yes, just different place, Alternate Views. All right. Thanks, Kimar, for reminding us about that. Yeah.
2 more likes. You want 2 more?
2 more likes. Great job tonight, Kimar. Great job, Mr. Murray. Everybody, Mr. Franklin, fantastic commentary and analysis. Thank you so much. And
can we hear the song before we go?
Yes, so let's hear the song, Dave.
English. Pretending to be good. Hey, pretending to be good. Just pretending to be good. Hey, pretending to be good. I just pretending to care about people. 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 Pretending. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. I'm pretending to be good. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people.
509.
Oh, Mr. Franklin, you're doing a wonderful job. Somebody wants to donate. We had said at the
514.
514. Wow. Yes, yes, yes. Please WhatsApp 236-7000 to donate to the cause of the police permit and specifically to the truck and cost cap. Those are the things that are left to be donated to. Thank you all so much. God bless. Love you all. Bye-bye.